Did Anaheim throw away their future on a possibility? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pucked Up Podcast. Yeah. I am Chris, and joined with me, as always, are my two favorite ladies, Dee and Danger. You guys, we got lots of shit to talk about this week.
It's going to be a full episode.
Yeah, we might get spicy Chris this week. Actually, there's a good chance we're getting
spicy Danger last week a little bit. Yeah, that's fair.
We always get spicy D, so.
Yeah, it's rare when out of all people, I'm usually the reserved one. So that's someone fucked up. Well, if I'm the one that's spicy on the podcast, someone fucked up.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see when we get to that segment how it actually
goes. To talk about.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I know we don't have any playful banter this week because we've got like a list of
so much shit to get through.
Yeah, we're just gotta get powering through everything. Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's start with D.
Yeah.
The All-Star rosters came out. Well, not the full rosters, but the selections from one player from each team. Obviously, there's still the fan vote and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the roster for us.
I do. So the way that the All-Stars have started doing this is that they release the initial 32 All-Star or 32 player All-Star roster with one player from each team, and then fans have the option to vote to select an additional 12 players. So voting is actually open right now, so you can go to nhl.com/vote and vote for your favorite player if they are not on the list that I'm about to announce right now. So I guess let's just jump into it. For the Eastern Conference, we have David Pastrnak, a right winger for the Boston Bruins, Rasmus Dahlin, a defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres, Sebastian Aho, a center for Carolina Hurricanes, Boone Jenner, a center for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Alex DeBrincat, a right winger for the Detroit Red Wings. Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is a tongue twister.
Sam Reinhart, a center for the Florida Panthers. Nick Suzuki, a center for the Montreal Canadiens. Jack Hughes, a center for the New Jersey Devils. Matthew Barzal, a center for the New York Islanders. Igor Shesterkin, a goalie for the New York Rangers. Brady Tkachuk, a left winger for the Ottawa Senators. Travis Konechny, a right winger for the Philadelphia Flyers. Sidney Crosby, a center for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nikita Kucherov, a right winger for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Austin Matthews, center for Toronto Maple Leafs. Tom Wilson, right winger for the Washington Capitals. In the Western Conference, hell yeah. Well, and we can talk about it afterwards. Let's get through the Western Conference. In the Western Conference, we have Frank Vatrano, a right winger for the Anaheim Ducks. Clayton Keller, a center for the Arizona Coyotes. Elias Lindholm, center for the Calgary Flames. Connor Bedard, center, obviously, with Chicago. Nathan McKinnon, center for the Colorado Avalanche. Jake Ottinger, goalie, Dallas Stars. Connor McDavid, center, Edmonton Oilers. Cam Talbot, goalie, Los Angeles Kings. Kirill Kaprizov, obviously, left winger for the Minnesota Wild. Philip Forsberg, left winger for the Nashville Predators. Tomas Hertl, center for the San Jose Sharks. Robert Thomas, center for the St. Louis Blues. Oliver Bjorkstrand, right winger for the Seattle Kraken. Quinn Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes, so we'll have Hughes on Hughes battle. Defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks, Jack Eichel, center for the Vegas Golden Knights, and Connor Hellebuck, goalie for the Winnipeg Jets.
Some hot Hughes on Hughes action.
Yeah. Well, so there is a new format, by the way, for the revamped skills competition. You'll see just 12 All-Stars in a series of 8 events with points earned for placement in each. The player who has the most points at the end will receive $1 million. The first 8 players to complete will be identified by NHL's Hockey Ops Department and the NHLPA. Fans will vote on the final 4. And only All-Stars, obviously, are eligible to be voted for those final 4 of the 12 skill components. Those components this year are fastest skater, hardest shot, stick handling, one-timers, passing challenge, accuracy shooting, the NHL shootout, and the NHL obstacle course, with a note that the NHL shootout is limited to the top 8 and the NHL obstacle course will be limited to the top 6. So each player will choose 4 of the 6 events in which to compete. The lowest scoring player after the first 6 events will be eliminated. For the shootout, the remaining 8 players will get to select which goalie they will shoot against, and the top 6 scores after that event will move on to the final stage.
So I wonder if Connor McDavid will again choose to not participate in Fastest Skater because he won it so many goddamn times.
Yeah.
Entirely possible.
He's like, I don't want to do this.
Are that they will be doing the draft at All-Stars again this year because it did not get a lot of fanfare last year, so they're coupling that back in. And lastly, you will be able to watch the All-Star Network exclusively on ESPN, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and ABC.
I'm here for the doubling down of ESPN since they got the contract for exclusive media rights.
Yeah.
They've definitely put their money where their mouth is.
Right.
And they've gone above and beyond for the NHL. Honestly, ESPN right now for a lot of leagues that they have exclusive rights, they've been doing very well. So
yeah,
I've been very happy since, and it saves me a lot of money on on getting the NHL package.
True.
Like the price of ESPN Plus is a lot better than what the price of like NHL Live or whatever they call it now on the website.
Yeah. This year's All-Stars will be hosted at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, which notably is where Tom Wilson grew up. So he is very excited to be going home and participating in his first ever, his second ever All-Stars, but his first ever is actually being invited and not just the backup because Ovechkin had COVID.
Yeah.
So this is his first hey, we actually believe in you a little bit.
Yeah.
Invitation, and he gets to do it in his hometown, which I think is dope.
Is it awesome. That, or is it because Ovechkin isn't playing in or is choosing to bypass the All-Star game this year?
So he would have chosen to bypass
anyway. Did you see the
anyway,
little video? Yeah. Because there was a video, and I think I sent it to Dee, but I don't know that I sent it to Chris.
You actually just sent me a BetterHelp ad and not the video.
What? So much funnier.
She was like, I think you need this, babe.
Sorry,
and I was like,
that's not at all. No, that's not at all what I intended to do.
I'm gonna take a screenshot of it. I've been meaning to text you about it to be like, what?
Fuck Facebook, man.
Dude,
it is so fucking funny.
That's so funny.
I laughed so hard because I was like, wow. I mean,
I'm so sorry.
When you can be real honest with your friends.
Yeah.
Trust me, if that was a conversation I felt like we needed to have, I would have personally had it with you.
That's so good.
It was so funny. I was like, excuse me?
I'm so embarrassed. That's so bad. I'm sorry.
And it might be there. I just didn't click it because it just says video BetterHelp. And I was like, maybe there's a video underneath of it and it just starts with a BetterHelp ad. But I was like, no, it's just
Well, you know how Facebook can be sometimes. But no, it's a really cute video. And it's Ovi and Tom. And they're hitting each other with their sticks like they do every game, you know. And then, Ovi forgets his gum, so he goes to go out on the ice, and then he turns around and walks all the way back to the locker room. He's like, "Hey, babe, what's going on, babe?" It's Tom Wilson to Ovi, and he's like, "Okay, babe, what do you want for dinner tonight, babe?" As Ovi walks back up.
Just so much funnier that it was a BetterHelp ad.
It's so funny and cute. But then Tom looks at me and goes, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for letting me go to the All-Star game this year, babe.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, he needs someone because now Backy's not there. So
I know.
Oh my God.
He needs someone to show up at his house every morning and eat breakfast.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think you should be sorry because she finds it funny.
Yeah, I do. I was laughing.
But that's
about it.
I feel like that's our friendship with each other. That's some shit we would do.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. But now I'm curious if that's that way on mine. Oh yeah, nope, it 100% is that on mine too.
She's straight up the best.
I do actually know the clip that you're talking of though, because I've seen it.
Okay.
Because then he ends it with John Carlson walks in. He's like, "Everybody, vote for Carly to go. Vote. He should go. He should go." And he's like losing his mind.
Yeah.
I think they chose Tom Wilson on purpose. I think NHL chose it.
Yeah.
Well, I think they chose it not because he deserves it, though I believe that he does. I think they chose it because last year, or the last time he went, he got ridiculously booed by the Vegas fans. He couldn't do anything without getting booed. And so he's just the whole time, he's just like, hey guys, yeah, great.
Oh my
Thanks for booing
God.
me.
Yeah.
Well, Mark
Yeah,
Shanks
at
is
least
booed
he
all
can
the
take
time
it in a
too,
good
so.
stride, though. Like, he's somebody
did.
that definitely...
Yeah. And so I think that they wanted to, give him, like, time not to be totally hated by the entire
because
audience.
it's his hometown. Yeah,
Right.
like, we hope his hometown doesn't
Yeah.
boo him, at least.
But also, I think that it just makes for good entertainment, because if it does happen, like, I mean, they milked the shit out of Tom getting booed in Vegas. Everybody,
Yeah, they
all
did.
the media did.
Yeah,
So I think that it's a smart move for them to do it, just because
Yeah.
media-wise and entertainment-wise, like,
that's
it just
fair.
makes sense.
That's
So,
very fair.
But I'm excited for the All-Stars this year. I'm curious to see how this new format works. I think that was one of the criticisms of the All-Stars in the past, is that having all of the skaters, like all, what is it, 44 of them or something?
Yeah.
Having them all do the skills competition just makes it drag ass. You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So this year, limiting it to much smaller pool, and then having it get to, like, actually you get eliminated if you don't perform well, kind of a thing, I think is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, don't forget, if you are watching this, there is still time to vote. Do not forget to vote. I don't remember when it ends. But vote for who you want to see, and vote for who you want when it opens up. Vote for who you want in the skills competition.
Fucking BetterHelp. You know, this is why I love the podcast, you guys. Like, for those that are, you know, like, joining us for the first time, or if you're ever curious on how our friendships go with each other, this is literally it.
Yeah, no,
Like,
we are
legit.
100% the same way we are in this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Always.
with each
Yeah.
other.
Oh, it's brilliant. Switching gears.
Now I'm just gonna start sending you BetterHelp ads though every time I come across
I'm
them on
gonna
Facebook.
start sending you both just like wild ass ads now.
Yeah.
Just
Thanks,
because.
babe. Thanks,
Just
babe.
because.
Thanks, babe.
And just be like LMAO, babe.
Love it, babe. I'll make the chicken parm tonight, babe.
Yeah,
Oh,
for real.
That's what Obi said.
Yeah, that's a whole, like, inside joke thing. I love it.
Oh my
Especially-
gosh.
Ovechkin does love calling people babe, though. It's his favorite.
Yeah,
He
it's
calls
and it's so
everybody babe.
Sounds
cute in
about
his
right.
accent too. Like,
Yeah,
His thick ass Russian
Babe.
his thick-ass
accent.
Russian accent.
right,
Babe.
babe.
It's cute.
Oh my god.
So-
Switching gears, we're gonna I don't know if it's gonna be at this point of each podcast, but we are now giving the full-time spotlight to the PWHL in
Hell
every
yeah.
episode.
Hell yeah.
So we're gonna start today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but I'll bring it up now. I did get a chance to go to the first PWHL game here in Minnesota, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But first, I just wanted to share some of, like, the timeline of the development of this league. Something I just learned right now that happened as far as names for teams went. Because I didn't realize that, and I find it funny.
Yeah.
And then kind of like where we're at as far as up until the last game, which was Saturday's game here in Minnesota. So it was back in August is when PWHL announced that its first 6 franchises would be Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Boston, New York, and then Minneapolis, St. Paul. That over that summer, the team started constructing their rosters. All 6 teams were allowed to sign 3 players to an initial 10-day free agency period. So Emily Clark, Brianne Jenner, and Emerence Mashmeyer. I apologize if that's wrong. I won't give the women quite a hard time with their names as I do some of the guys. But they became the first 3 players signed to PWHL contracts, and they all signed with the Ottawa team on September 5th. Then, following that free agency period, the 2023 PWHL draft was held in Toronto on September 18th. 15-round draft saw 90 players selected from a pool of 286 eligible players. Taylor Heisey was the first player drafted, and she got drafted by Minnesota. And I believe she's our captain, too, if I remember correctly. In October, the PWHL submitted the following 6 team names to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Those names were Boston Wicked, Minnesota Superior, Montreal Echo, New York Sound, Ottawa Alert, and Toronto Torch. The names were widely criticized by those in the hockey community.
Yeah.
In November, the league then announced that its teams would not be named ahead of the inaugural season, stating that the timeline for the launch of the league did not leave adequate time to fully brand the teams. During the inaugural season, teams would be simply known by their city names, except for Minnesota, I think, is the only one that's not, like, ours, it's just Minnesota.
Yeah.
On November 14th, they revealed the inaugural jerseys for each of the 6 teams. They each feature the name city names. Again, in our case, it's the state. And a diagonal word mark. Those were met with mixed reception. Many of the fans saying the cookie cutter design was very basic, which it is. Boston and New York were both praised for their color choice. I also really like the Minnesota color choices, the white and the purple.
I like the purple, yeah. I like the purple a lot.
Yeah. Especially with, like, and I don't know if it was intentionally, but a fan in one of the groups I'm in, because I now follow PWHL on Facebook, which apparently I need to stop following people on Facebook and stop sending videos. But somebody said that we should be like the Minnesota Purple Rain because Prince was from here and purple was like one of his favorite colors and associated with his.
Or if you just call them the
brand.
Rain.
The Rain.
Like,
something like that, which I kind of like,
I can get behind it too.
But I like
Rain
as in
Prince song.
REIGN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also personally really like, because I remember when the Minnesota Wild were named, the like running up team name, because they held like a whole voting thing, were the Northern Lights, and I kind of really liked that too. So I thought that might be a good name for the women's team, but we'll see what ends up happening.
As long as we don't have another Rocky Mountain Extreme situation.
Right? Yeah.
Because fuck. Could you imagine if that's what Colorado went with?
Right. So it is expected that the jerseys will last only for this first season, with the teams launching unique branding after the inaugural season. So we'll have to, see what happens this summer.
Yeah.
From December 3rd to December 7th, all 6 teams congregated in Utica, New York for a 5-day evaluation camp, which included scrimmages at Utica University Nexus Center. On December 29th, the league announced broadcast partnerships with TSN, Sportsnet, and CBC in Canada, and streaming of the league's games on the league's official YouTube channel. So you can watch all of their stuff on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I think locally, a lot of the teams, like I know the Minnesota teams have a partnership with Valley Sports North, which is where all the Wild games can be seen as well. So,
and the YouTube broadcasts are really
pretty good.
solid.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah. For a first-year league, there's, obviously, like I was telling you guys a couple days ago, I was like, obviously there's like a few things that they could change, but like for a league that's only broadcast like a handful of games, it's very well done.
Yeah.
So huge props to them for like putting their foot forward.
They put a lot in it.
They get a good product.
And I know, and I didn't know this until I was at the game on Saturday, and I'm sure you guys know it, but Billie Jean King is actually on the board of directors.
Yeah.
And was
She's
one of the
founders.
major driving
She
forces.
Did the first puck drop,
which is amazing. Yeah.
Well, she was instrumental in founding women's pro tennis. So
right.
I mean, it only made sense that this was the next avenue for her, pioneering women's sports.
But yeah, I personally didn't know that until Saturday.
Oh yeah,
it was really cool. They showed before the game a cool interview with her and stuff. So, so the first game in PWHL history was on January 1st, 2024. And that was between New York and Toronto. The first goal was scored by New York's Ella Shelton. New York went on to win that game by a score of 4-0. The game logged 2.9 million viewers across Canadian broadcasts and was the #1 watched sports or entertainment broadcast of that day. And on New Year's Day, that means they beat the NHL.
At the same time
because the Winter Classic was fucking boring.
The Winter Classic.
Yeah. I think the Winter Classic had like 1.7
still, that's
mil.
a lot. Yeah. The second game took place on January 2nd, and that was between Montreal and Ottawa. Excuse me. The game set a new record for attendance at professional women's hockey game with 8,318 fans at TD Place Arena in Ottawa. Montreal won the game in overtime by a score of 3-2.
Yep.
5 days later, Minnesota set a new attendance mark of 13,316.
Yeah.
Minnesota literally said, "Hold my beer."
Right.
Yeah, we said, "Thanks, the state of hockey will take it now."
We're just gonna make you guys look like shit.
Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah.
numbers.
And I don't know what the first game. It doesn't say what the attendance of the first game was. But let's see. If it was in Toronto, let's go with what this says. Mattamy Athletic Center has a capacity of 2,539 people. The Bridgeport, Connecticut has arena, Total Mortgage Arena, has 8,412. So we know that they weren't at capacity.
Yeah.
But the Minnesota arena, XL of these arenas, at least of what's again on Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. The XL Energy Center does have the highest capacity of these 8 arenas, because a couple of the teams have 2 arena options that they'll play out. But that was on January 6th, and the Minnesota team won 3-0 over Montreal. And so just to talk about like the experience for a minute, obviously we're known as the state of hockey. Take that with a grain of salt. I know other states disagree with that. Whatever, get the fuck over it. But so it was my grandma, my son, and I all there. And I was telling these guys before we started recording, like my son literally at one point was almost in tears. He had like real goosebumps as the entire arena is like shouting, Minnesota, and then clapping. Both teams played really well. Grace Zumwinkle, she was the number 1 star of that game. She got a hat trick, which is awesome. So that was the first franchise hat trick, or hat trick and hat trick of the history of the league.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool experience. And I do have some pictures and video that will hopefully be in the YouTube version of the podcast, just to share with you guys. And the audio, I don't know if the audio of the videos will be there, but it was loud in there. There were a lot, and it was really, really cool. A lot of teams of little girls, all there in their own hockey jerseys, and little kids in hockey jerseys that are too damn big for them are the cutest fucking thing on the planet. Anyway.
Yeah.
But just the excitement and the pride that these little girls had looking at this team, or both teams, of like, hey, we can be at this level someday. So it was just really cool, because it's like, girls hockey has always been available up through college, and then that's a stopping point. And
unless you hit international.
Women,
unless you're playing,
and then play overseas,
which is fair, Olympic, whatever, like.
But still, it's not as televised.
It's not a big deal unless you're playing in a tournament.
Yeah. Right. And so just the ability to watch these little girls look at the female players and go like, that could be me someday, was huge. Marcus Foligno from the Minnesota Wild did read out our starting lineup that day. He brought his 2 little girls with him to the game. And I thought that was really cool, because it was very much, and I think he even said at one point that it was cool to be able to tell his daughters, like, hey, you can do what I do someday, basically. And they, like, I think that they caught the girls, or the women, I should say, I shouldn't just call them girls, but they're all younger than me anyway, it's fine. But I think it caught them off guard to see Moose there, because they all were like, there was that collective gasp and then cheers. Right. And then as I was telling these guys, like Moose, Gustafson, and Brodin, who were all 3 injured. Moose is back now, but they were all injured at the time of the Minnesota Wild, so they didn't go on the road trip. But they all were there in a suite to support the women, which was really, really cool to see too. That our men's team is going to support our women's team in any way that they can. But yeah, so it was a really cool experience. I do know the game after that, which isn't listed on this Wikipedia page yet, so forgive me, I don't remember what the 2 teams that played it were, did have the first league.
I thought it was Monday's game, but Monday's game got postponed. So it must have been a game in between.
Yeah, because unless that one might have been, no, I don't think that one was Saturday too.
Monday's game did get postponed.
It was supposed to be Ottawa versus Boston, and it got postponed.
Yeah. So, but that was the first jailbreak. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first jailbreak goal in the history of the league. For those of you that don't know, a jailbreak goal is unlike the men's league, the women's league is saying when there's a penalty, no matter which team scores, it'll kill the penalty. So jailbreak is a shorthanded goal to end a penalty, which happened in that last game. I wish I knew the score. I tried to open up the PWHL's website, and it's not working right now. So at least not for my house. So forgive me for that.
Say I'm on it right now.
Yeah,
Are you?
it looks like...
does it show what that score and the teams were?
There wasn't any other game after your game. Saturday was the most recent with Minnesota's win over
maybe that
Montreal.
was the game before?
Yeah.
So it would have been Toronto versus New York, which was that 3-2 game on Friday.
Okay.
The next game is
that must have been
Wednesday,
the one.
January 10th, and that's the Montreal versus New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boston versus whatchamacallit has been rescheduled for much later.
Okay. So it must have been the game before ours that had the jailbreak goal then. I just must have seen it after I joined the group, which was after our game. Yeah. So that's fair.
I did want to give a special shout out to the premier partner for the PWHL. So the premier partner is Woody Creek Distillers. They do mostly whiskey, but they also do vodka, which interestingly enough, they have partnered with William H. Macy, famous actor William H. Macy, who refers to himself as their spokes dude. And he gives them fresh potatoes for his farm for them to distill their vodka from.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Amy Shear, who is the Senior Vice President of Business Operations for the PWHL, has said, launching the league with the support of U.S. brands is vital, and we're thrilled that Woody Creek Distillers is a part of the PWHL family as a premier partner.
Hell yeah.
Woody Creek Distillers shares our passion for hockey and the women's game, and their mission to pour everything they are into everything they make truly resonates with the PWHL and its commitment to growing the sport. Similarly, Mary Scanlon, the Chief Executive Officer for Woody Creek, said, all of us here at Woody Creek Distillers are so excited and honored to be a part of to be a premier partner of the PWHL in its inaugural season. We share the values embodied by the great sport of hockey and fully promote and support opportunities for women in sports and in business. So they will have multiple in-venue and broadcast components, as well as unique social media content, including the walk-ins presented by Woody Creek Distillers that showcase the style and personalities of the PWHL players on game days. Can't read. Fans will also find Woody Creek products offered in arena and in select locations. Woody Creek activations at watch parties while cheering on their favorite PWHL teams on the road, and Woody Creek as a presenting partner for the end of the season PWHL awards. So big shout out to Woody Creek for being the first in that.
Hell yeah. Also, like, most of the stuff on the shop is sold out. Because I was like, let me take a look. Most of it's sold out, which is awesome.
And like so a lot of people, and Chris will appreciate this, because a lot of people obviously were wearing like wild gear. That's what Matt and I wore. Grandma wore something. She has a sweater she got for Christmas that's purple and white, because those are our colors. The guy behind us in line to get in was wearing a Macho Man Randy Savage Christmas sweater. Because it had purple in it. And Matt caught his eye. He's like, "Hey, I like your sweater." But we leaving the game did see two people walking with the Minnesota jerseys on. So I was like, they've got to be either family or they got their jerseys real early,
real fast.
Like the jerseys are still there. It looks like the shop. The only thing that's very different from the rest is the actual league merch itself. Everything else is very, very uniform. It's very basic colors. There's really no colors except for like the jersey. Everything's black, white, gray. It's all very, very, very simple stuff. So I'm curious as if over the next couple years we'll start seeing more like more customized or like featured
I think it's
stuff.
It's because they're just going with city names. It's really, really hard to do anything other than your basic components, because you don't have a strong colorway to really rely on just yet. I mean, yes, you have the purple and the greens and the teal and whatever.
Right.
But without partnering that with some sort of a logo or something else, like it's just, okay, you're wearing a purple shirt that says Minnesota, or a green shirt that says Boston. So it looks like all the PWHL merch, with the exception of the lapel pin, has sold out, and that is the most branded and cohesive. But then in the individual teams, like Montreal's jerseys are still available, and they have hoodies and crew necks that just say Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of the official game pucks have sold out that they had available.
And it, like, the Hockey Lodge, which is our, in-arena store, was packed when we first got there, and they just had, like, one little island full of merch. And it was shirts, coffee mugs, necklaces, that kind of thing. But they were very basic, obviously, I don't think that teams are going to sink a lot of money into putting merch out there yet, just because they know team names are coming and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so hyped for everything that the league is doing.
Do we want to go ahead and do their 3 stars of the week now, or do you want to wait and do the 3
absolutely.
stars for boys and girls this
No,
week?
let's do that now.
All right. So one thing to note before we jump into who the stars actually were. The PWHL also has a different use for their 3-star system. So they actually assign points based on first, second, and third star. And then at the end, they calculate all of those points, and it will help be an extra determination in the rankings for the end of the regular season with those awards that we mentioned earlier. So with third star, you were assigned 10 points. With second star, you were assigned 20 points. And with first star, you are assigned 30 points. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're reading through this.
Yeah.
So third star, Corinne Schroeder, goalie for New York, a 29-save shutout. On January 1st, in the PWHL's inaugural game, Schroeder turned aside all 29 shots to lead her team to victory on the road against Toronto. The 24-year-old from Elm Creek, Manitoba, was especially strong in the second period, preserving New York's 1-0 lead despite 16-4 shot advantage by Toronto in this game. New York would go on to score 3 goals in the third period to put the game away, and Schroeder's performance was marked as the league's historic first shutout win and road win. This is also the second time in her professional career that Schroeder has opened the season with a shutout, posting 3 straight during the 2022-2023 campaign with PHF's Boston Pride. For second star, we have Alex Carpenter, who's a center for New York. She had 2 goals and 1 assist. Carpenter quickly showed why the team signed her as one of its founding free agents, with exceptional play in both games that she played last week. In the inaugural game at Toronto on January 1st, Carpenter won the draw that led to teammate Ella Shelton's first period goal, the first goal in PWHL history. The 28-year-old then capped a rush with a wrist shot to the top corner in the third period, providing the insurance goal in a 4-0 win in front of a sold-out crowd. She went 60%, so 12 of 20, in the face-off circle. In New York's home opener on January 5th, Carpenter once again landed on the score sheet, capitalizing on a one-timer from the top slot. The North Reading, Massachusetts native drove much of the play throughout the game and led all players with 6 shots on goal. She once again had a strong game in the faceoff circle with 56% win for a 2-game faceoff percentage of 58%.
Wow.
After 1 week, Carpenter sits second in the PWHL in goals and is tied for second in points. Now let's get to who is very clearly in first, and that is Grace Zumwinkle, right winger from Minnesota. She has 4 goals, 2 game-winning goals, and is the owner of the very first hat trick. First-year pro Grace Zumwinkle made an immediate impact in Minnesota's first 2 games, scoring 4 goals to help her team win both games in Week 1. In Minnesota's season opener on the road against Boston, the former University of Minnesota captain scored the game winner at 8:34 of the second period to help to secure a 3-2 win. The Excelsior, Minnesota native put on a show in Game 2 on January 6th, scoring on all 3 of her shots to record the league's first ever hat trick and produce all of her team's goals, in a 3-0 victory before a record crowd of 13,316. Zumwinkle's 4 goals, including 2 game winners, puts her atop the PWHL's leaderboard in points, goals, and game-winning goals. So big shout out to Grace, Alex, and Corinne.
Hell yeah.
As the first ever stars of the week for the PWHL. Super awesome.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like we said, you guys can see everything in the US on YouTube for free, which is amazing.
Yep.
Also they do have a website.
They do.
So I will leave that in the description. It is the pwhl.com.
There you go.
Yeah, here's who else can't read.
Yeah.
Me.
We take turns.
We do, yeah. We all struggle together. It's a struggle bussy thing. But dude, just support women's hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I know we've got a great community. The hockey community is probably the least toxic of the sports communities right now.
Very fair. Very fair.
So I feel like this is the perfect time for that. And
And I'll
listen,
tell you,
I'm very aware of my position as a man, being like,
yeah.
hey, no, support this shit.
Right.
These
It's
women,
good
like, not
hockey.
only are they fast, they're skilled. They can take and give plenty of hits.
Hell
We
Yeah.
saw our first little fight. I did have a couple of frustrating things, though. I did think that the fact that 3 of the 4 refs at our game, at least, were women was awesome.
Mhm.
I do wish they called more of the penalties. The other team got away with a lot of things. And then I don't know if they got talked to or what. And then, like, towards the end, they started calling penalties, but then they were all on us. And I was like, you're calling shit on us that you let the other team get away with in the first and
Right.
second period. Like, which is frustrating as a fan.
Oh, yeah.
But so I think that there's definitely room for improvement on the ref side of things. But I understand that these are people that have never probably refereed on a professional level before, being
Right.
that the majority of them are women.
Yeah.
So it's a learning curve. I won't go up on my soapbox about it as much as I wanted to. But we did also see, like I said, the little scrum start of a fight. And I wish they would have let them continue and kind of fight it out a little bit more. But they broke it up really quick. And it was right at the end of the game. It's not really a big deal.
Right.
But you could definitely see that tensions were high by the time the third period came around. Because, like I said, they were getting away with a lot of holding and interference and shit. But yeah, these women, I mean, they rock. Both teams, like I said, both teams performed really, really well at the game I was at. But I think a lot of them could go toe to toe with a lot of the guys too, especially on like skills competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see, like a merger at some point of a special event of skills.
I would too.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that would just be a really great way to marry the two leagues together.
Well, and getting the
and maybe
NHL
gain more
support in
awareness.
general
Right.
would be massive.
Yeah,
Like,
massive.
Huge. Yeah.
I think that's the goal, and that'd be a great goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We definitely will talk more about goals for the league in a little bit.
Right. But no, it was a great experience. So if you are near enough to one of these teams to go to a game in person, please go do it. Show some support to these women. It's a great time, you know, and they're out there just living the dream, and we love that for them. So
hell yeah. I know I'm in between two, so I have to figure out which team that I'm going to choose, and it's not going to be Boston. So, although
so
my
you don't have
record,
to figure out which team you're going to choose because you know it's going to be New York.
Although with my track record of the sports teams I like, it might be fucking Ottawa. I don't know. Something random.
Hey, you could get on the Minnesota showboat. Like, you both could.
I could,
for that matter.
I really like the coloring for New York.
Yeah, but
even though purple's my favorite color.
Yeah, so fuck you and like Minnesota, damn it.
Not with that attitude. Do we want to move on to the excitement that was the finale of the World Junior Championship?
Yeah, talk about drama.
All right, we're going to talk about it. We're just going to throw it out there. The United States is your gold medalist.
Love that for us.
Defeating Sweden 6-2.
Who else did not expect that to be the outcome of that game?
I thought
the way
US
Sweden was playing Pride.
Yeah.
But with the way Sweden had been playing up until that point too.
Right. True.
Another shout out to Minnesota, though. Can I just say that it was confirmed the 2026 World Juniors will be hosted here?
Will be hosted in Minnesota, which is dope as shit.
well.
Yeah.
So when that does come up, I hopefully will be going, depending on the price of tickets. But that'll be
well,
a
hopefully
feature
by then we can
the
all
podcast
go.
too. Yeah, that would be badass.
Hopefully then we're all able. LTN's big enough that we can all go.
Right.
Also, obviously, congrats to the United States on gold. Congrats to Sweden for a great run and winning the silver. Also, shout out to Czech Republic for taking bronze and shocking the fucking hockey world with their quarterfinal win over Canada, who I think everyone pegged to win.
Right.
There was a lot of heat at the end of the gold medal game.
Yeah, there was.
Tempers flared heavily, and there was a lot
Yeah.
of fights between the U.S. and Sweden. There was some chirping even in the handshake line at the end.
Yeah, a little bit.
Got a lot of brash young teenage kids.
Well, I think it's
you
it's
don't
a
want to
mixture
get
of things with that, though.
too. You also don't want to get blown out like that when it comes to the championship game. Like to get that far and just get like stomped out. Yeah, I understand the frustration.
There's a little bit of a history between these two teams, but I think also, I mean, they were like where they were. The entire crowd was Sweden fans.
Oh yeah,
and they were booing the U.S. players the entire fucking game.
Oh, it was brutal.
And so it was brutal. And so you get to the end of the game, and Ryan Leonard, future Washington Capitol player, by the way, he was our 8th round pick. He gets a goal and blows a kiss to the crowd, which really upset a lot of fucking people. It was hilarious though, and like the reactions online were like, "You shouldn't have done that. You were already winning. Why did you need to do that?" And sometimes I agree with those criticisms. Other times, like in this instance, when you are in such a battle and you've dealt with this team before and you have, long-standing beef, whatever, if your crowd is actively booing at every single thing the team does, like not even when they're doing like they're making penalties or this or that, they're just existing, then I'm gonna blow a kiss. And he also at one point too, I think he had another goal that he was like, "Oh, what was that? Sorry, I didn't hear you. What?"
Dude, it's so great.
It's just funny, man.
Like I'm here for that. Well, it's like everyone got upset at Alex Morgan when she scored that goal against England. They were winning by a lot, and she just stood there and just drank her tea. People got upset. Like, no. When you're Alex Morgan and you're like one of the best soccer players on the fucking planet, male, female, or other, you can do that shit.
Yeah, she got even hate from the U.S. for it, which I did not understand personally.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, fuck them, drink some more tea, bitch.
Right? Well, and then to see other professional players start doing just that motion too, to like in support of her was kind of cool. I think there were a couple of football players that did it.
Let them fucking celebrate. We also have a player on the United States team that's a future Duck, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Diva McDeverson,
something like that.
Sorry.
Also,
that
shout out Rutger McGrody.
Shout out Rutger McGrody, baby.
Yeah,
the best name in the NHL.
Fucking love it.
No, I was pleasantly surprised with this year's World Juniors. I think that I think that looking at these teams, and mind you, this is only like the top few teams that get invited to this internationally. So it's not to say that there aren't teams that are worthy, but these are your best teams in the world for under a certain age. Obviously this tournament's prestigious. Hockey fans, everyone knows about it. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait to see what happens next year. I can't wait to see if the Czechs come in and just shock the world and win it. If Sweden comes back to avenge that goal or to try to get that gold medal. If Canada comes back to avenge that quarterfinal exit.
I mean, hey. Yeah, it was a game.
Oh, it was a time. It was a time.
Yeah.
It to lose the game with 11 seconds left. Is like that's just
it's a lot.
I couldn't imagine.
It's a lot.
That's
insane.
But yes, we look forward
to the US.
The 2025 World Juniors,
and shout out to Ryan Leonard in specific.
Indeed.
And Rutger McGrody.
Yeah. Well, just because of name alone.
This one will be held in May. Oh, it's the World Championships. I wanted the World Junior Championship.
I was like, that's weird. Fuck? It's always been in like December.
Why is it? Yeah.
January timeline. Why are they changing it now?
Where is it? It'll be held in Canada next year.
Oh, Canada.
December 26th to January 5th. Top 10 teams will be slotted in. It looks like we might even have our list of teams. It looks like Kazakhstan might actually make it as a top seed.
Interesting.
So that would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
It'll take place between TD Place Arena and the Canadian Tire Center. So we look forward to next year's World Juniors.
Hell yeah.
Danger.
Yes, sir.
Our favorite goalie has
Our
done more
favorite
things.
goalie did it, man. Like, so he got his 551st win of his career. So he is now tied for second most with Patrick Roy. He needs one more to beat him, which I'll be pretty heartbroken if he doesn't do this season, but we'll see. I don't want to put any harm on him. I don't want to jinx him. Sorry, I'm typing at the same time.
No, you're fine.
So let me finish my thought process here. And so he did tie Patrick Roy for second most wins in his career history. And off the top of my head, I don't remember how many it was in first. Like he won't get there this season for sure. But with Gustafsson being hurt right now, Fleury is back to being our starting guy, which I love for him. I do think he a little bit got into his own head with it, especially in the beginning there, because he lost like 3 or 4 games in a row after Gus got hurt. Then he got the tie. Reporting too, because last week I talked a little bit about the prank war because Duhaime called him 50 years old. He nailed his boots shoes to the floor and all that.
Yeah.
He then, as the picture with him with the puck he's wearing the Dewey 1 and 2 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And he, on his shirt, took permanent marker and drew glasses and a mustache on Duhaime's face, which I love. And then apparently Marco Rossi in the game interview the other night also called Fleury 50. So we'll see what else Fleury can think up to prank the boys, because they definitely just want it at this point.
Yeah.
But we love like the behind the scenes, the locker room antics. Fleury, it also was reported after the fact that one of Fleury's coaches from juniors or first coaches, anyway, somebody that had helped him early in his career was in the crowd. So
nice.
Got to see him. He got to go back after the game and congratulate him. People from all around the league have been reporting in on how amazing he is. Just because, like we've talked about before, we love Fleury. He's an amazing guy and an amazing goalie. Like, he'll definitely hit that Hall of Fame. And we love that for him.
Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's when he passes
it's when,
him.
yeah.
But, like, honestly, I feel like it's okay to settle for second in the all-time wins list, because he needs over 140 more to catch Marty Brodeur for number 1.
There we go.
So,
I knew it was a lot, but
it's
second still. I mean, Patrick Roy
behind Martin Brodeur and Patrick Roy, and
even if he stays at being tied with it.
Yeah,
like
Roy, Roberto Luongo, Ed Belfour, like these are big
lot.
big names.
Big names. When asked, because he also hit the 1,000 game mark, I believe, or he's one away from it, something like that.
He's at 1,004 now.
But in the interview, when they were like, "How does it feel to know that you've played in 1,000 games?" and he goes, "I don't know, old maybe." Also in wild news, my favorite guy, as you all know, besides Marc-Andre Fleury, is Matt Zuccarello, and we had recently found out that he in what day was it? I don't even remember. December 16th. He scored the shootout winner with a broken arm. Was the first report.
That tracks.
Totally fair. Then it came out the other day that not only did he score the game winner with a broken arm, he played 2 full periods, overtime, and the shootout, scoring the winning goal with a broken or fractured arm.
Again, that tracks.
Freaking Superman type thing. And this article from Outkick, I love how it's said at first, because it says, and it's written by Matt Regal. apologize, Matt, if I said your last name wrong. But he goes, I thought for sure that Barclay Goodrow of the New York Rangers had the hockey guy moment of the year award locked up after he got hit in the face with a puck and spit out a piece of his jaw on the ice. I wasn't ready to hand it over. I wasn't ready to hand it over to him just yet, though, and I'm glad I didn't, because Minnesota Wild forward Matt Zuccarello may give him a run for his money. He missed 9 games following the Wild home win against the Vancouver Canucks. Against Casey DeSmith in the shootout. Zuccarello then was ruled out with an injury, and it wasn't initially reported what had happened. And it wasn't until January 6th that Michael Russo, who is one of the Wild's main reporters, he's on Twitter all the time, love the dude, he does a great job. He blocked a Hunt shot in the first period. He played the rest of the game, scored the shootout winner, went to Pittsburgh with the team with the hope of playing back-to-back, but his arm hurt too much. Turned out he broke a bone.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry. I stand corrected. It wasn't the first period. We believe it happened at 4:29 into the second period.
Jesus Christ.
If I'm correct, that means he played the final 40 minutes and 31 seconds, including overtime, with a fractured bone in his arm. Absolutely insane.
100%. That's crazy.
Yeah, so just freaking, and then only to be gone for 9 games too. Now, granted, that did include over the Christmas break and all of that,
right?
But it's still amazing.
Yeah,
for a guy that's also in his late 30s. I mean, I believe he's my age. He might be a year younger than me, but so we love to see it. We're hoping, we do also know that Kirill, Brodin, and who else was it? Let me look at our injury list, if I can find it. And I think it was Spurgeon or Letary, one of the two, were at the practice and morning skates of our last game. They're not quite ready to come back yet. And I think last week I talked about how crazy Kirill is he ended up breaking a couple of ribs. And the fact that, trainers and staff were saying he'd be out for at least 2 weeks. And he's like, nope, 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days. I'll be back in 7 to 10 days. And, of course we don't want him to rush it because that could lead to further injury. But at the same time, he knows his body. These guys know their bodies better than anybody does. So hopefully we'll see him back soon.
Yeah.
That, I believe, was all of the updates I had.
Well, all right.
Our guys.
Well, all right.
Well, all right.
All right. D. We have we have a little bit of drama featuring
a
one Connor Bedard.
Yeah. So let's see, what day was that? I don't even remember. But during the game last week against between Chicago and New Jersey, Bedard, and I'm using air quotes here, took a hit that saw him leaving the ice. And we discussed this, like, the second it happened. We were in our Discord chat talking about it, and it wasn't a hit, really. Like, I don't think you can fully classify it as that. You had Brendan Smith, who was standing there.
Literally
standing
there.
Connor Bedard is trying to, like, weave through and make a play. He looks down at the puck to, I guess, make sure it was still in his stick, and then looks up and is like, "Oh shit, there's a big dude right there."
Yeah,
runs smack into him.
It looked like Smith was trying to brace with, like, putting his arm up
a
little bit.
Yeah. It wasn't like a brace
maybe
to try
you
to
could call
hurt
it
Connor whatsoever, in my opinion.
You could maybe call it a reverse hit, but that's still pushing it for me. It's not really hit territory for me.
He basically ran into him.
He basically ran into him. And what's crazy is, like, Connor went down hard, and he skated off the ice of his own, like, free will.
Volition,
right? Yeah. However, what I don't see talking about enough are that because of the way Connor skates, when he went down, he did one of those, like, little leg kick things and nearly, like, kicked Smith in the head with his skate. Like, it was kind of, I mean, he needs to learn how to you know,
He needs to learn how to
do a
fall.
controlled fall,
Yeah,
basically.
basically he
Basically.
pretty much ran into Brendan Smith's elbow with his jaw connecting right on the elbow, causing him to fracture his jaw.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. So he is on injured reserve. So I know I announced that he was going to be in the All-Star game. We don't know if he's actually going to make it to his first ever
Give him a
Last
All-Star
I
game.
heard it was going to be like 4 to 6 weeks at minimum
Yeah.
for him to be back. So
Oh, they're not
that
even
would
going to let him
definitely
play with a fishbowl?
We don't know. We have
Wow.
no
It
idea
doesn't
yet.
sound like it.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't include All-Star game,
Mhm.
you know. I mean, that was just
Right.
what I
That
had
was just
seen
what
in
it
an
was.
article. But
Right.
yeah.
A couple of people who had quotes following it were forward Ryan Donato said it's horrible. He's a kid that loves being around the rink, being around the game. Take that away from him. I'm sure it's a big blow to him and us. It's definitely hard to wrap our heads around. It's so fresh still for us to realize what's going on, but we hope the best for him and hopefully can keep the guys positive. I do think it is a hit for the team because he is their, sensational star.
It's the only
whatever.
superstar left.
Well, yeah, because of their
Perry
own
got
stupid fucking
canned for no
choices.
reason. Taylor
Yeah.
Hall is out for the season.
Yeah. He is leading all rookies with 33 points, 15 goals, 18 assists over the course of 39 games. I don't know. I think we saw a huge response online because, first of all, immediately following the play, Smith was gone after. And throughout the rest of the game, Smith was gone
Dude,
after.
they like fucking, oh yeah.
And to an extent, I agree with
and
it.
fans were calling for a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
after
yeah.
the fact
Fans-
too. But when you
Right.
rewatch the clips and stuff, you can see Smith didn't intentionally do anything.
It
He
wasn't
wasn't
dirty at all.
headhunting.
It was
No.
wrong place, wrong time, wrong.
It was a clean hit. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like to pretend
It wasn't even like really a hit in my eye.
No,
like I
that's what I'm
get why
saying,
they
yeah.
call
Yeah.
it one, but yeah,
Right.
But like to pretend that, oh, I saw a couple people, the league needs to protect their superstars. It's like, oh, well, this person needs to be suspended for 10 games minimum. It's like, homie,
For what?
this is
yeah,
hockey.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is a big boy sport where you got to take big boy hits. And
Yeah.
don't
I
get me
mean-
wrong. We've documented my
coulda just
thoughts
been- yeah.
with Connor
Yeah.
Bedard and Chicago. I like Connor Bedard. I think he's an
Yeah.
excellent player. It's fun to watch him. But like, welcome to the NHL, kid. You
Yeah.
know?
Like, yeah. I mean,
And he
you've
didn't
got to
bitch
be
about
able,
it.
and it very well might be him learning how to take a hit,
Yeah.
or learning how to fall, because
Yeah.
there is
Mhm.
a mechanic of knowing.
Yes.
I used
correct.
to teach a balance class to old people. Like
Yeah.
you can teach people how to fall correctly.
Yeah.
Not to say that
Yeah.
that won't prevent any injuries, but it may help. And I
don't think
he
the
he
fall
landed
was
funny.
what caused the injury, though. I think
the fall
when his jaw
didn't-
connected with Brendan Smith's elbow, I think that's what did it. Because
think
you
so?
saw
might
him
be-
just the way he went down. I think
Yeah.
that's what caused it first, because he went face first into his arm.
That's
But
fair.
either way,
That's
he then
fair.
also landed on his face afterwards.
Yeah, he
So
did land on his
it was
face.
a double. It was a
afterwards.
double whammy. I think
Yeah.
I can respect them going after Brendan Smith because most likely the rest of his team didn't see what had occurred,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
do have to sort of
Oh,
stick
yeah,
up for
in
your
the
star
heat of the
player.
moment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But I think
things
it's like
happen
you
in
go
the heat
after
of the
him
moment all the
once
time.
and then you call it even
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's so much that happens where it's like, oh, well, you don't really know the extent of what it looked like.
What's the
Again, if
deal,
you
yeah.
weren't actively watching it, which very clearly not everyone is actively watching it, even when you're sitting on that bench.
Yeah.
But the reaction was so hysterical because, yeah, like you've said,
Yeah.
they were asking for 10-game suspensions.
Yeah.
Some people were asking for Smith to be banned permanently from the league for injuring, the next,
Which is
poster
fucking
child
crazy
of the
when it's a
NHL. It's
full
like,
contact
dude.
Yeah.
sport.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if it was
Crosby
was
was
something
insane.
intentional,
taken off
that
by
would have
someone,
been.
and no one called for people to be permanently banned. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah. Exactly.
like,
I mean,
and
the
there were a
same
lot
thing
of
happened to McDavid, his inaugural season too. He
Yeah.
also got massively injured.
yeah, he
It's
did.
it's
Just the whole season.
unfortunately it's unfortunately a product of having 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds come into a league where they're playing against 34-year-old dudes who are 6'4" and 280 pounds.
Yeah, like
You know what I mean?
Brendan
Like,
Smith is like 6'2", 200 pounds. That is a large
Yeah.
that's a
individual.
big dude.
Yeah,
He's
on
big
skates,
man.
which
Big
means
dude.
he's probably got about 4 or 5 extra inches.
Well, and then not only that,
Right.
Connor Bedard is skating fucking 30 miles an hour at him.
Yeah,
That's gonna
Right.
result in
Yeah.
injury.
Yeah,
Same with
like,
Connor McDavid. He's fast as shit too.
yeah, which
Like,
is why
it's
you
gonna
gotta
result
fucking
in
just
injury. And it's unfortunate,
every time.
It's part of
mean-
the sport. It's part of the sport. It's a physical sport, and there's a reason you wear helmets and pads. Like,
Yeah.
but like also when you have young kids entering in against full-grown men, like
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they've got brittle bones in comparison. They need to
guess
drink
what?
more
He's
milk
gonna get
and
bodied.
toughen the fuck up. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
out here to be on the hate train and say, oh yeah, welcome to the NHL, quit being a pussy. No, dude, breaking your jaw
No.
fucking hurts. That was
shit
a
hurts,
brutal
yeah.
injury, and 100%
Sucks ass.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying, oh, he needs to come back.
I
I'm saying
do
that
hope,
fans need to
though-
calm the fuck down. Is really
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And I do hope that this doesn't like
Make him gun shy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that could
well
happen.
that too, but I hope it doesn't lead to like finding that he has like a brittle bone issue or some other issue that's going to make
Yeah,
him more susceptible to injury. I would think that by now,
Yeah, I would
being
say
a
I would
hockey player,
assume
he
by
would have
now
figured
he'd
something
figure that
out. But sometimes you never know.
I think
sometimes,
it's very
yeah.
much so a case
Yeah.
of a
freak
perfect
accident.
storm.
Yeah,
Where he just hit the right way, and it doesn't take much to break your jaw. Like
No.
it doesn't take a lot of
No.
pressure, and with how fast he
Yeah.
skates,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
it
that's
just-
a very good point.
It happens.
yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
I do
moral
just
of the
hope
story
that-
from all of us is y'all need to calm the fuck down
Right.
and stop calling for people to be hung in the streets just because a
Mhm.
superstar got hurt. It happens. It's a
Yeah,
full
happens.
contact
especially,
sport.
I mean,
Get over it.
because I don't even think Smith is like a dirty player.
he's
going
really
after
not.
people
He's
a
really
lot.
not.
Like,
Yeah.
No,
you know, it's not a
Yeah.
it's not a Cousins or like
dude, and Nick
somebody that
Cousins
constantly goes after people.
Yeah.
Nick
or
Cousins
a
got
Ryan
himself
Suter,
involved
or-
in
Yeah.
some other shit, which I'm sure that'll pop up in suspensions very soon with the
Well,
whole Jason Zucker
Yeah.
thing.
And I saw, well, yeah, that is in the suspensions list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
speaking of Nick
for
Cousins getting
Zucker's
involved
side-
with headhunting.
But I also no, it's Zucker
Yeah,
got
but all
suspended.
right, so
but who
I'd
knows
say-
what will come later on? Yeah.
did you
But
see the
I had
whole
seen-
video though of that?
No.
So-
no.
Yeah, I will send it to you
Please
so you
do.
can see why I
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
No, please do, because I did see something, and it was a quote from another player. I don't remember which one it was because I
Nick
didn't
Cousins
screenshot
just
it
gets
because
away
I'm
with
an
headshots
idiot.
all the time.
But they,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and they're like, you know, to me, he's a rat. Like, he's a rat of a player, and this is coming from another professional player. Fuck, I wish I saved it, but it came up in my feed like yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, whoa, something's going on that I'm not aware
Yeah.
of. But you know, like I know that he's somebody that definitely is a dirty player.
Yeah.
And not even like the old school like heavy hitter that people call dirty players, like
No, he headhunts.
what's like
No.
what is his face? Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi was one of the big ones
Bertuzzi
that
was
used to be
very
like
dirty.
the hard hitter, like dirty players, you know, the fighter kind of
Yeah.
guys. All right, hold on.
Yeah. No, I saw that
I
video.
love the title of
and
this.
100% headhunting.
I literally look at the fucking, thumbnail. It's
Yeah.
Cousins with his
It's-
elbow in someone who's down.
Someone who's down and against the board. It's not
Yeah.
just that they're down; it's that they're
Who's
like
he's
they're in
already
a vulnerable
wearing a
position
fucking
in two
protective
ways.
face mask too because
Yeah.
of a facial injury.
Yeah. Why is Zucker having a player safety?
The same reason that when he fucking
and Zucker
boarded,
got
yeah,
suspended.
when yeah.
So
Right.
Well, it's the same. It's
For
the same
3
reason that
games,
when
too.
Cousins boarded fucking Erica
Oh!
Branson to Narnia.
Oh!
yeah,
Oh, now I see what Cousins did.
Yeah, dude, and what he did to fucking Good Branson, he
Yeah.
boarded him to
Yeah,
hell.
no, the hit
and didn't
against
get in trouble
Branson
for
was
it.
ridiculous.
He didn't get in trouble for it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you see
Yeah,
why
Yeah,
I
still
don't
no,
don't
believe
see
in
how.
fucking
Zucker
Nick
100%
Cousins.
retaliated there, but
You
Yeah.
have to.
Cousins fucking deserved it.
thing is that Cousins should have been gone from the game when he
Yeah.
boarded what's his face earlier. So this
Yeah, because
second
he was on his
infraction
knee.
never would have happened
Yeah,
if the
yeah,
refs
he
had
was on his
Yeah, because he
knee.
properly
boarded
officiated.
someone else in that game too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then you
Yeah.
you rewind back to when they played Columbus and that hit on Good Branson, and like Cousins gets
Oh.
away with the shit all the time.
that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like
because
if
Val Mackey got up.
he did, which is incredible for the hit that he fucking
Yeah.
took. But if Cousins had been appropriately dealt with by the refs, then you never have the Zucker penalty. Again, not excusing it.
So
But I'm
yeah,
just saying
well,
that
because
this is
they
a
didn't
world
call
of-
anything on that and the continued play.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
Zucker just bodied the shit out of him, which I would
Yeah.
have done the same.
Yeah,
would have
no,
done the same.
you at
Again-
that point have to protect your teammate.
Yeah, Zucker
Like,
gets the penalty, takes the suspension. But I think that the NHL, if they're going to review Zucker's hit and fine him
You
or
gotta
suspend him
yeah.
3 games, then you have to review Cousins' hit
You
as
have
well
to, yeah.
because it's a law of of consequences here.
And
Yeah.
like 2 wrongs don't make a right. Obviously,
No.
boarding
No.
Cousins wasn't the right move for Zucker, which is why he got
Oh, but is that even
fined and all
Yeah,
that.
they did
But
call
you
it
gotta
boarding.
stand
Okay.
up for your
Right.
fucking teammate.
Yeah.
You gotta stand up for your
You have to.
teammate,
'Cause that
especially when
wasn't
your teammate's
even
he's defenseless. He's on
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
knees next to the boards, and he's still led with the elbow into his helmet.
Into
Like,
his ear hole.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
how are you
like,
gonna let that
was
go?
Yeah.
that was a nasty hit.
It's again, we are so lucky that Valmaki didn't fucking die. You know what I
Dude,
mean?
for
Like, he
real.
got up and he continued
No,
to
like
play.
he
But that is such a dangerous hit that it could have resulted very, very
I'm surprised he got up so quickly, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like I'm very
Yeah,
surprised he was
So
able
it
to get
could
up
be
so
that it
quickly,
wasn't
and
that hard of a hit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, it didn't
what
look
we would call a love tap,
Oh,
but still,
Nick
the principle is the same. You know,
and
in
that's
that way.
not typical of Zucker.
The punishment fits
In
the
his
crime,
style of
but
play.
like if we're
Yeah.
gonna
To me-
if we're gonna fucking, analyze
Yeah.
shit, let's make
Yeah.
sure we're analyzing
Well,
everything
and,
Both
not
and
sides of it,
just one
Cousins gets away.
situation.
Cousins gets away with shit all the time, and that's
Especially
the
headshots.
bigger issue here.
Especially
Yeah,
headshots.
and that's the bigger issue here. Is I think Zucker probably had just had enough of knowing this guy gets away with this. I'm gonna hit him back.
Well,
Boarded him.
my
I
thing,
mean, it would be surprising if to me, if Zucker went to intentionally get him a concussion.
Jason
or
Zucker's
a bad
not that
injury.
kind of player.
He's not
He's
that
not
guy.
that kind of person.
here's my thing. I think that this is a direct result of the NHL really trying to combat fighting on the ice. Because I think in years previous, a hit like that happens to your teammate.
would have been a
happens to
fight. You would have
Valmaki.
just dropped gloves.
Zucker goes, all right, you and me, let's go. Mano y mano, drops
Yeah.
gloves, beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
beats the shit out of him in a respectable way that doesn't end up potentially with him getting a
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
concussion.
And
Yeah,
that's,
And
not
now
just
you
that's
have
the
driving
him
issue
his
do
fucking
this
head into the
instead
boards.
because he's like, well, I'm
Right.
going to take the gamble because either the refs aren't going to call me for boarding because clearly they didn't call Cousins for boarding,
Yeah.
or I am going to get called. But either way, I'm going to get called potentially for less time than I got
Right.
if I'm going to fight him because I'm going to get 2 minutes plus a 5 for
Plus
instigator
5.
Yeah.
plus,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it could get a
there-
10-minute misconduct. Yeah.
It's one of the biggest criticisms
And
I
it's-
have of the
Yeah.
NHL taking fighting out of the game because then you see shit like this. There is
Yeah.
no way
Yeah.
to
You have to
exact
let
justice
You
here.
And
have to let
it
it
is
continue to be
hockey,
a
and hockey fights
self-policing
need to,
sport.
like
Yeah.
hockey fights happen, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Part of what I love about hockey is the fact that like somebody takes a bad hit or whatever, somebody's being a dick, somebody else fights them, you drop the gloves, you have a fight. The second you hit the
Yeah.
ice, you break it up, whatever. I get that, And
100%.
then you go
When they're in a
sit-
vulnerable
time out
position,
in the box. You
end
have
it.
your timeout in the box.
Let them
You're
cool
done
off.
with it. Like
Yeah. Move on.
you're done. But otherwise, like you said, Dee, like this is leading to nasty, harder,
Mhm.
bad positioned hits,
Yeah. And like
boarding calls. I mean, how many boarding calls have there been in the NHL this season?
a
A
lot.
lot more than
A
I
lot.
feel like we've seen.
And
As
a
of
lot more
late.
that have gone uncalled as
Mhm.
well because
Oh,
I think
God,
some refs are like, this is just street justice, and you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's not the hockey that we loved
Yeah.
growing up.
Well,
anymore.
and I never watched hockey for the fights to begin with. That was never why I fell in
Well,
love
that
with
was
the game.
always part of what I loved about
Yeah.
it. But
And
you
even
also
as
played.
someone-
I didn't play.
And like
Yeah.
was getting into fights fun? Sure. It was fun to
Yeah.
throw down with some guys. But like for me, fighting was never part of the love of the sport. It was just
Right.
part of the sport
It was part of the
that
sport.
you have to answer to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it is it's just it's crazy to me to think that there's going to be a chance that in the future we will have that gone from the sport
Yeah.
and we're going to see more people like this, and that's when you're going to start seeing people fucking dying because
Mhm.
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter what sport, if you're driving someone's head into a stationary object,
Right.
you're just like asking for trouble.
You're
Right.
increasing the risk of
Some
CTE.
crazy shit happening.
Especially in this case where he were already on his knees, and so it didn't like go into the
Yeah.
plexiglass that at least has a little give to it.
Yeah, it
Well,
went straight into the
Cousins
wooden
is hit
fucking board.
went into the wood board, like, and right at that little bit of a lip. I mean, that could have been a serious neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
Valmaki is really, really lucky that it wasn't as bad as it was.
I'm really surprised he wasn't.
And Cousins is really lucky that the referees had temporary blindness. You know what I mean?
They had temporary something.
Anyway,
well,
sorry.
Who's ready to get spicier?
Yeah, I mean, we're already primed and ready. Let's do it.
We are. All right. So it's only fitting that I'm the one that discusses this. The Anaheim Ducks and the Philadelphia Flyers made a trade.
They did.
As of time of recording yesterday, so it'll be Monday. The Anaheim Ducks receive 19-year-old Cutter Gauthier from the Philadelphia Flyers for in exchange for defenseman Jamie Drysdale and a second-round pick in 2025.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So for those that don't know, in the 2022 draft, Cutter Gauthier was selected 5th overall, elected to finish out his time in at Boston College.
Totally fair. I love young players getting an education before coming to the NHL.
And was also
Don't mind that.
a big part of the United States winning the World Junior Championships this year.
One of the stars.
An outstanding player.
Love that. All around for him.
So,
and then
there's been word that Gauthier very much so made his intentions known, that he had no plans on signing a contract with the Philadelphia Flyers. Ergo, you trade him.
Right.
Okay.
That was before World Juniors.
That part I understand. That part I get.
That's fair.
Yeah.
On the Anaheim side of things, you traded away a 21-year-old defenseman who is a future star of that team for a 19-year-old kid who's already thrown a fucking temper tantrum and hasn't even played a game in the NHL. Just because you went top 5, guess what? There's plenty of guys that have played well in the NHL and it hasn't bounced off. It wasn't worked for them. Thinking of top 5 guys already off the top of my head. Neil Yakupov was a number 1 overall pick and he didn't do shit in the NHL.
Yeah.
This kid coming in, running his mouth. Like,
and the disrespect for me of the fact of, like, I get it. He made his intentions known with Philadelphia. He said, I have no intention. Fine.
Yeah.
They gave him till after the World Juniors, hoping he would change his mind.
Yeah.
They continued to try to call him. And instead of being an adult and answering the fucking phone call and saying, no, didn't change my mind. Sorry.
He ignored them.
He just ignored them. He just didn't call them back, ignored every phone call. And to be fair, some of that should be on his agent too.
He should be around on the adults around him.
Right.
He is a young, impressionable child. He's 19. He's a child.
He's 19. He is an adult.
All right, he's legally an adult, but your brain at 19 is not thinking like an adult. Especially when you're in the limelight. Like, yes, he needs to take responsibility.
He's legally an adult. He needs to at least have some respect for the fact that you are even being drafted into the NHL. I mean, the big league.
A handful of people play in the NHL. A handful of people ever have played professional hockey.
Yeah.
And the Philadelphia Flyers are a storied franchise.
Yeah.
They're full of rich history, full of great players.
To
just to go play for the Flyers, and they're good this year.
Yeah.
But
I think that there's probably something else happening. I think he
I'm
while
sure there
at
is.
wherever in the timeline it was, because they said they've known for a few months that he decided that he didn't want to play anymore. I'm thinking he probably talked with someone that was like, you don't want to play for Torts because he is this type of coach and that's not going to align with you as a person, which I respect. If that's the reason why,
that's fine.
Totally respect it. You still have to call him back. You still have to say, you know what? I've decided I would rather go free agency. I'd rather do this, do that, whatever.
Trade me, whatever. Like,
my bigger issue, than with him is what the fuck is Anaheim doing? Like,
they're putting all of their eggs in this kid's basket now.
This is where I'm at. I get you're at the bottom of the league. I get Drysdale's had a rough season. Drysdale's also been hurt for a good portion of the fucking season.
Yeah.
I understand. But what I don't get is why, as a team that is, first of all, struggling with an identity, trying to get younger, and struggling with defense, why the fuck would you trade one of your best defensemen?
Yeah.
One of your best young defensemen. This kid is 21 years old. He's a future fucking star of the league, I think. I think on defense, I think he's a future name that's everyone's going to know. And what did you do? You just offloaded him on the fucking chance that Cutter Gauthier becomes what everyone says he is. On the chance. This kid, all right, Gauthier's got 23 points in 17 games with Boston College this year. 13 goals, 10 assists. That's great. That's D1 hockey. Boston College is a very, very good team.
For sure.
2 goals, 10 assists in the World Juniors. But, like, you lost a guaranteed sure fit franchise player for a fucking pipe dream that this kid turns out to be as good as they say he's going to be.
Right. And also, did y'all need another center?
No.
So why are you trading away a defenseman, which you actually do fucking need, to get a center who, realistically, what's his playtime look like?
I just want to know what Pat Verbeek is doing. And we gave up a fucking pick.
A second round pick at that. Not even just a pick in general.
Yeah, like
but a second round.
A second round
next
pick.
year.
Next year, yeah.
Next year.
Yeah, it's not 5 years from now, like some of them are. You know.
Now the question is Zegras safe? Is Mason McTavish safe? Is anyone on that team safe? Because I don't think trading our young stars is what's going to fix the problems in that team.
Yeah.
No, what you need to do is what so many other teams have done, which is provide a rehab for these players that are dealing with injury that gets them back mentally and physically.
Because injuries will fuck with the mental part of the game. They very much so do. I know from experience. And listen, I by no means have anything against Jamie Drysdale. He's a great kid, and I hope he has nothing but success with Philly.
He's only 21.
Yeah, I really think he's got a bright future ahead, and maybe this is what he needs to spark something in him to show his true talents. So I really hope the best for him. But Pat Verbeek, you better be fucking right about this kid. That's all I have to say.
You better be right. This fucking kid. But also, who are you going to cut from your center block? Because not everyone can fucking play. So you need to be shoring up in so many areas. Who the fuck are you cutting? Who are you
I'm afraid that this is a knee-jerk reaction to Trevor Zegras and his play in the World Juniors. Because when Trevor was in, he lit it up.
And they're seeing a kid who did very well, and they want to capitalize on it.
I'm scared that they're just going to start chasing the fucking... They're just going to be chasing the dragon here. Which
is silly in a lot of ways. Like, again, Cutter did really well. Is his name being bandied about the same way that Ryan Leonard's is? The same way that Rucker McGroarty is? He's not.
No.
His name wasn't getting bandied about. Like, I didn't hear about Cutter until this shit came out about him getting traded because
I had obviously
George said, I don't know him from a hole in a wall.
Yeah, I obviously knew who he was due to follow him in the draft, and I follow a little bit of hockey. Obviously UConn has a pretty good program as well as Quinnipiac, who won the national championship last year.
But Cutter isn't known the same way that Zegras was known. You know what I mean?
No.
And even Boston College players coming out of college, like there was more hype around Jack Eichel than this kid.
Yeah. So
which to me says something too, because if he's not getting the hype from Boston College, from being like a star player, that to me says something too.
And
he had 12 points in 7 games.
Real. Let's be real.
Which is great.
17 games this year for Boston College. He's got 23 points. Those are really good fucking numbers for college.
They
hockey.
are.
Like he's lighting it up in college, but I just don't understand where the mindset here is for Anaheim. It's not beneficial to trade away your young stars even when you're not doing well.
And I could understand if they got rid of an old aging defenseman, right? Who
Yeah,
maybe
but they
still had some years left in him, but you got rid of a 21-year-old who could
Yeah.
still do great for your organization if your organization were devoted to rehabbing him.
Yeah.
Appropriately. Like, it doesn't
It's-
make sense to me.
I don't understand it. Obviously, when Cutter gets there, I'll cheer for him the way I cheer for every other player on the Ducks, but this one's got me questioning Pat Verbeek.
Wondered.
Yeah.
I'm really questioning this one. Normally I don't, but I'm questioning what the fuck was going on here.
Yeah.
I just wonder too if this is some of the knee-jerk reaction to not getting Connor in the draft. Like psychologically, if this was like
we got Leo Carlson, who, in my opinion, is pretty goddamn close to his ability, or to Bedard's ability, but
to Bedard's ability.
His ability. That's how angry I am. I can't speak.
I know.
But Leo's also been hurt a good portion of the season. He hasn't played.
No, that's fair.
I mean, shit, he scored his first career goal faster than Connor Bedard did. And not to say Bedard's shit, but like,
no,
it would help for us to have
not at all. Bedard
is
definitely an impressive player, but
I see where you're coming from, and while it's a possibility, I think it's really just them trying to capitalize on hot junior players that have a really good showcase in the World Juniors.
Hot singles in my area? What?
Hot singles in your area.
I don't know.
Regardless of what it is, if it's Danger's theory, if it's Chris's theory, if it's my theory, if it's anybody's
and
fucking
mine
theory,
isn't like.
Regardless,
only time will tell what's going to happen.
I think it's a bad move. Time will tell what's going to happen, but I think it's a bad move. I think it's a choice that they're going to be like, well, good thing we're going to be potentially winning the lottery this year, because you know what I mean?
Christ.
Yeah.
So switching gears away from less angry content, it is time for our question of the week.
Hit us with it.
Reverting back to the ladies of hockey, now that the PWHL, I keep wanting to call it the PHL.
I know. Or just the WHL, like
too many letters.
Either way.
Too many letters. Now that the PWHL has started or has played its first games, what should their goals be for year one? And what are some things that they should plan for the near future? Danger, we'll start with you.
So I think for the rest of this year, they definitely just need to keep, making those history records. Obviously everything that does happen this year will be history for the league.
Right.
But I mean, they're kicking ass and they're taking names, and they just need to keep it up. And I don't think that that's going to be an issue for them. I do hope in the near future, off season, the rest of the season, that maybe we can come up with some team names, make cheering for our teams and our ladies a little easier.
And it gives the team's identity.
It's fun.
It gives them their own identity.
Just cheering for the Minnesota team doesn't feel. Even our college teams have like mascots.
It's also just a mouthful to be like, go Minnesota.
Yeah, it was like Minnesota.
Go PWHL Minnesota.
Yeah. And so some of the shorter cities are obviously a little easier, but it's not great yet.
Right.
So hopefully we can, get that on the books in the off season here. Better names than what was originally recognized. And I do hope in the next year or two that we can see a little bit of an expansion. Not too much, because I don't want them to get burned out or get too many, but seeing that number of the 286 potential players that were available in the draft, and excuse me, and knowing that only 90 of them got drafted, that's a big pool still left of people that are very skilled and capable. So hopefully we can add another 2 teams or 4 teams in the nearer future, not necessarily by next season, but in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll say. Because I just think that as long as they continue pulling the numbers that they are and doing the things that they're doing, being as exciting as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
My big thing, you know, and we talk about this a little bit, but like, I was really glad to see that they were going to even just allow hits, because a lot of, you know, youth hockey, obviously, I get why there's no checking, no hits, but knowing that these women, I mean, they're fully capable of, I mean, like, look at women that play roller derby or football or like some of these really full contact sports, like women can take it, right? I mean, we carry and grow humans in our body and then push out a freaking watermelon. Like, we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, you know, that was a big plus for the sport, at least, because it was like, you know, not all women are little delicate flowers that need to be taken care of. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, I was thankful for that, but I think that definitely does pull in a lot of fans too, because it's not like, oh, watching, you know, roller skating or figure skating. Like, not that that's not a full contact and dangerous thing, because it definitely is, but it's much more graceful than sometimes other sports are.
I agree.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what I've got for that question.
So I think that, yes, all that, they need to get the team names established. I think that they need to change them. Some of them are pretty cool, but again, I would love to see something like the Minnesota Reign, spelled REIGN, because then you can do so much with that mascot, with the royal purple color as well. Especially, I think that would be really fantastic. And I think that there's so much more that we can do, especially with, like, I mean, this is women's hockey. Like, as cool as, I mean, I guess what was it? The something sound is, like,
the New York Sound.
The New York Sound, like, that's cool and all, but, like,
and they play on Long Island, so it's like a geographical thing that makes sense on the Long Island Sound.
But I still think that we could do more around, like, the
creative.
identity of New York and women in New York. I think the Toronto Torch is cool, just because I think Torch is badass. And there's a lot too that you can do there when it comes to mascotting. My biggest thing for the PWHL is that they need to work on their branding. They need to work on their merchandising, on their branding. I think if they're not already in talks with the NHL as to how we can cross collaborate, then they need to fucking bully them on social media.
I agree.
And what I mean by that specifically is start a grassroots campaign of being like, hey, we're trying to get the NHL to notice us and to help us promote. So Twitter users, like, tweet out hashtag PWHL beats NHL or hashtag whatever, and start a social media campaign. And eventually the NHL will recognize you, and that will throw you additional audience members. In addition to that, they need to cannibalize the NHL's sponsorship people. These companies, like, we have CIS Secure, who sponsors all of our programming here in DC. Reach out to companies like them. I mean, we have, like, massive recognized Jägermeister, another freaking organization that has more money than they probably know what to do with. Cannibalize them. You know what I mean? What you need to do is, it's great that Woody Creek Distillers is one of your premier partners. You need 87 more.
Yes.
You really do.
Absolutely.
And you need to focus a lot of manpower on getting those in. And the best way to do that is to go after existing sponsors and other sports network, because Jaeger doesn't just sponsor with the NHL.
Well, that, or look at the other professional women's sports, and you know, you can, like, not poach, but offer to some of the other ones that already support women in professional sports, and see if they want to, you know. But I think, you know, I understand too some of those companies wanting to see a product, you know, seeing what this league is all about before dumping a bunch of money into support.
Which is why the branding needs to come alongside that as well, to be like, hey, but I do think it's a really strong start for them. Like, their third game or whatever of their inaugural season, they had 13,000 fans there.
They almost filled an entire NHL arena. Like, they were pretty goddamn close.
Our arena seats a little over 17,000.
Yeah, that's a good 80 fucking percent, if not more.
It was huge.
So that would be my biggest recommendations: is work on your branding, work on your sponsorships, and most importantly, work on social media recognition. One of the things that I love most about following the Washington Capitals on TikTok in particular is that they do funny little things with, like, the trending sounds. Like, I can't think of any of the off the top of my head. There's been a couple lately, especially one with Kuzi lately, that I was just like, laughing my ass off at. But A, it gets us a better idea of who these players are.
Yeah.
And B, it helps you reach a larger audience because there are
Right.
legit like young people on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
young people getting into women's sports, go where the young people are. And you
Yeah.
have to do that with a marketing team in place. And you have to be willing to be like the Seattle Kraken marketing team, who was obviously willing to have C. Bowie fight fucking Biz.
Yeah,
Like,
literally on
Right.
live TV.
am I advocating
yeah.
for you to have one of your players fight a mascot? No, I think you need to find what works for you. But I think you need to prepare to be sassy and
creative.
irreverent and creative.
Yeah.
Because that is
Well,
what's going to draw the eyes to
I
your
agree.
player.
Like,
I
look
agree.
at the Not Weird Wild commercials. I mean,
Yeah.
like, our social media team here in Minnesota are killing it too. So, like, they need to, really hone in on something like that.
Even the
That'll
Bruins.
give them an identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bruins have a
with
great,
David Pasternak has been in several Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Obviously, that's a New England team. Dunkin' is very much so a New England founded. Obviously, it's
Well,
very
it's
much
like
so
Canadian
not New
teams
England
being
based
in Tim
anymore.
Hortons commercials,
Yeah.
like
Or Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
Which is
You're already working
Canada's
with
Walmart.
YouTube by having your games advertised there.
Get YouTube,
Find other
get
ways
YouTube
to
creators out
advertise.
there.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
would also help. You want to grow on your platform? Get creators out there to go to this and like talk about it.
And not
Right.
even just that, but like advertise on YouTube.
Yeah.
Put out
yeah.
YouTube ads because
Yeah.
they will run whenever anyone watches sports related content. They assume you're
Yeah.
into sports. Here's a PWHL ad. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
They need to up their marketing and branding this year and next year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I do. I agree with everything you guys are saying, except for I want to pump the brakes on the expansion, because of the fact that I've seen leagues catch that fire sort of, and try to capitalize it and try to create more teams, put themselves in more markets, which it's a good idea, but
I think 3 to 5 years is a decent time.
For sure. But thinking about the best one I could say is Major League Soccer is very much so a league where they got hot around 2005. Okay, that happens. You bring in David Beckham, you start a bunch of teams. Well, a few teams folded a few years after, and it actually ended up hurting the league's recognition for a little while until over the past 7 years, they've just pumped out teams, and now they're close to 30 teams. They're at 29 teams with 30th on the way. I believe is going to San Diego. San Diego will be starting in 2025. National Lacrosse League is another one who struggled with getting hot, losing a lot of teams. And then you just kind of have to operate at a low market until you get to a point where you can sustain, as well as the talent level. The talent pool may be filled, but when you're trying to create a league that is the premier league in the world for these women to play professional hockey at the highest level, you don't want to oversaturate that market with players that I'm not saying aren't good, because if you're playing professionally, you're obviously good, but you want the best of the best, and you want to make it exclusive and make it hard to get and say, hey, not everyone can play here. But it gives you a better understanding of what it takes to get to that level, right?
It is a double-edged sword with that, though.
I think it's smart to wait maybe 3 to 5 years, and I don't think adding multiple teams at once is a beneficial thing. One,
but you have
maybe
to add at
two, to
least
keep
2.
it.
Yeah.
Well, you don't
keep it
have
an even
to.
number.
Doesn't
Well, that's the
necessarily
ideal.
need to be in, it doesn't need to be, but you can do it that way.
But I also think too, with some of these other sports that you're talking about, we have seen their initial network is broader than 6 teams.
Not all of them, believe it or not. Not all of them. When it starts out, it sometimes starts with a very low number. Look at how long the NHL had 6 teams. for a very long time before it eventually caught.
We
Yeah, but
also
that
have to
was
talk
the-
about when that was. That was the 1900s.
No,
Yeah.
but my
Yeah,
point,
like
my
early
point
1900s,
is,
and hockey was a brand new sport
right,
in
but
the
like
United
you didn't
States
have
and
refrigerated.
Canada. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
right, no,
I
but
mean,
my point is, all the leagues that I had mentioned dropped, but they eventually caught traction again and slowly built that league up. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see the PWHL expand to 12 teams next year and then three years from
but
now.
that's what I'm saying.
I want to
I
see
said
them do
2
it the
to
right
4
way.
in the next
No,
3
I
to
know,
5
and
years.
I'm not saying you said to double the league right away, but I'm just
But
saying I'm just trying to play devil's advocate on this side
I just
here.
think that, and especially with, I mean, there are 3 Canadian teams and 3 U.S. teams. With 3 U.S. teams, there are a lot of fan networks out there that don't. I mean,
that aren't
it's
serviced.
Minnesota,
Right,
Boston, and New York,
which
that
are 3
has
big hockey
nothing
hubs
in the
in the
but
U.S.
that doesn't give anybody on the West Coast or down in the South. Now, the South isn't a huge hockey network anyway, but
Well,
it doesn't give
But I
any
mean,
of them
Florida has 2
a
hockey
team to
teams.
cheer for.
Yeah, they have multiple,
which is fair.
Yeah.
But like, I think that they need to expand to at least give every corner of the United States a team to cheer for.
Yeah.
Because
I think
otherwise you're gonna alienate a bunch of the US.
good idea. That's a good idea. I just, from a growth standpoint, I want to make sure that they're stable enough to bring in more talent and make sure the talent level that they want to classify as the premier in the world, that is ready for extra teams.
I will say though, Chris, the other edge of that sword, like, yes, you have to make sure you're stable, but you also have to make sure that you are not prioritizing stability. Well, no, because if you prioritize stability, it gets so fucking boring.
It does.
I'm gonna get tired of watching 6 teams. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
That
with
was
you.
gonna be my other point is
you play
people are
them,
gonna get sick
hold
of
on.
watching these 6 teams. Sorry.
Let me finish my idea. Sorry. If you
No,
watch the same
I
6 teams 80 times in a season, you're watching 3 games. I mean, that's not fun for anyone, and that's also not fun for the players, because what happens when the players get tired of being with that organization right now and the NHL, it's like, you know what? I'm done playing here. Like, we've had it happen a lot in Washington. I'm done playing here. Trade me now.
Yeah.
Who are they going to go to? There's 5 other teams. So they do need to, yes, they need to build a solid foundation. Yes, they need to make sure stability so that they're able to expand across markets while still keeping eyeballs. But if they wait until all the eyeballs are there, you start losing them more quickly than you can gain them back if you don't have innovation there as well.
So I'm saying, I'm not saying don't expand for another 10 years. You know, I'm saying the first couple of years, I don't want to see any new teams. Year 3, okay, that's when I'm like, all right, I feel like if we can have the at least the stable start, and show that the projections that this is really gonna be catching a big head of steam, that's when I'm like, all right,
but
give
I
me
think
1 team, give me 2 teams,
I think
it can't
year
be fast.
3. Year 3 is when you start actually adding them in. But year 1, at the end of year 1 is when you start telling your fan base what you're going to do about it. So you start saying, hey, this is just the beginning. We have 6 teams now, but we're looking at markets such as XYZ market, and then get the fan feedback, because that's going to tell you where you have the actual stability for. Because if you say, hey, you know what, guess what? We're actually going to go to Arizona next. And then the Arizona fan base is like, dude, we don't even like the fucking team we have. We don't want you here. Don't go there. So you have to start it now, because you have to get the buy-in from your base. And you have to maintain the base's energy behind it. And you can't do that if you stick at 6 teams for too long. And to me, after 2 years of only 6 teams, I'm going to be less enthusiastic. I'm still going to support them 100%, but I'm going to be less enthusiastic about supporting them, because you didn't have a good enough business plan coming into this to make expansion possible.
And a good
it's a fine balance.
A good benchmark of current league that we could see under kind of comparing to the growth, the Premier Lacrosse League. They've only been around since 2019. They still have 8 teams. They started with 6, expanded to 7 in 2020, and then 2021 they expanded to 8. Since they're steady at 8, the talent level's there, but they're keeping their basis small for now. And that's a good, honestly, the way that they have things set up would be a great timeline and structure to follow with keeping a league super sustainable.
I think it's okay to mirror it or use it as a starting point, but at the end of the day, lacrosse is not hockey.
No, that's
And
yeah, but
hockey is
I
not
mean,
basketball. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like you
mean
have
I don't
to
mean in the sport
pull.
sense, you know. I mean like the
No,
way that the
no,
league
but I'm just saying
operates.
I'm saying even fan base, because you want to pull in NHL fans to the PWHL, and by doing that, you want to. I think expansion is going to be part of the key. Now, again, I'm
Well,
not
of
saying
course.
expand it to 12 next year,
Yeah.
but you want, like Dee said, I think that was the perfect point of like you want to start saying, hey, we're looking at XYZ cities to potentially host teams in the next
Right.
5 years.
And I gotta be
And
honest,
getting the fan feedback on it, because if anybody will tell you what they do and do not want, it's hockey fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to
Very
your
true.
point about the PLL, I am bored with the PLL. They have
Yeah,
too
we
few
could
teams,
I
and
my
they
dad and I were
recently
both
did
like
go
they
through a
need
big
more
shakeup.
they
They
need
did
more
go through a
teams
big
now.
shakeup recently where they just, instead of giving us new teams, they moved them. So
Yeah.
now we have the
Yeah,
same teams
yeah.
in different locations, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's exciting in some extent because now it means that like I have a shorter commute if I want to go to a game.
Yeah.
But the
You can just go straight up
ultimate
to
thing is
yeah.
that there still aren't enough teams for me to find the one that's like, you know what, like yeah, I like them, they're cool, but I don't love them. I'm not,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm not in love with this organization. I'm not
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
There's nothing there that's exciting for me, and that's because of limited options.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Like I say,
there's pros and cons.
I am very much so for the PWHL growing. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
afraid that they're just going to end up biting off more than they can chew and it backfires. So I want to see them progress this league the right way and make sure that they can do it in a way that is super fucking sustainable for them
Right.
to continue growth, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we all want that for them.
Yeah.
And this is why I think these conversations are important.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
clearly we have different viewpoints here.
Yeah.
And the PWHL should be reaching out to fans like us to have these
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
The most important thing you can do in any industry is market research to
Yeah.
define
Yep.
what your fan base wants.
Yeah.
What the eyes on your product, which is what this is. Like, yes, they're human beings, but the sport itself is a product.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to figure out what they want. And
Right.
then you can
Yep.
either decide whether or not you're going to give that to them and or how you're going
Right.
to give that to them.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing, and maybe it's just because I'm not in the sphere of the world where they are doing market research. So they might be doing it and we just don't know about it. But I
Right,
haven't
that's
seen
fair.
anything yet that's like, hey, women hockey fans or fans of women's sports, take this 10-minute survey and tell us what you think. You know what I mean? And we need to
Well,
see
yeah.
more of that because without it, we get stuck
Right.
where the PLL is, and we
in
get
their
stuck where other
defense,
women's sports are.
we're like a week into the season.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
You know,
But
Hell yeah.
we're also at least 6 months into the league. Now, again,
Right.
a lot of people didn't know about the league when it was
Right.
first starting and didn't hear about it, you know, until more recently. But I do think that, like, and I think the surveys would be a great idea. Send
Yeah.
a quick survey to everybody that's bought tickets for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
Use that
like?
as a
Did you-
beginning
Yeah.
Mhm.
starting point for polling your market research. You know, hey, did you have fun? Any ideas for like how to make these experiences better?
Yeah.
Send out emails to people registered with youth teams if you haven't
Yeah.
already. I would think that they already have.
I would
but
imagine.
I don't have a relationship with any youth girls hockey team to know.
Right.
But yeah, like start getting more of that sponsored. Like
Yeah.
there's so
Well-
many ways to encourage and get more knowledge and fan opinion. And the more fan input you get, the more fans are going to be behind this because it'll make fans feel
feels
like you actually
grassroots.
care.
Yeah.
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 That they were
Yeah,
there
it's
from
like,
the
oh,
start.
no, they actually given a shit about what my thoughts are
Yeah.
as a fan.
I have a major question for the PWHL, and that's why aren't we the WNHL? And the only reason I ask
Right.
that is because I think that, like we've said, their acronym is a lot. And
It
mouthful.
is a lot to say.
It's a lot to say. And I wonder, like the WNBA, I think is the most
It's
the most advertised women's
successful-
professional,
yeah.
most successful women's
Well, and there's a
professional
reason
sports
for that.
organization.
Is
But
it's
it's because
owned by the NBA.
exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's a partnership there that allows for name recognition. Like
Yeah.
WNBA you're thinking, oh, it is the national, you know what I mean?
It's
the
it's
women's
national problem.
version, or
Exactly. And so we don't have that recognition. So what are you doing to get it us, because we didn't have that? And I want to know why we don't have it, because I'm fucking nosy, but I know you're probably not going to tell me. So tell me what you're doing in the meantime to get that level of recognition. I think this is something that, Chris, you and I have had this conversation as well. We see that as a problem for women's lacrosse too. Like, I know the PLL is trying to help them, but how?
The
marketing, the branding is not good enough.
Limited unless you're in the lacrosse community.
Correct. And even people in the lacrosse community don't know
in the
either.
world that lacrosse.
Yeah.
But there is no, and like, we've discussed, we know that the PLL is involvement, is like in deep talks with creating a women's version of the league, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I think the important thing that we're even us having these conversations is us showing that all we want is the PWHL to succeed, and we have the platform to be the fans that are like, hey, here's what we're thinking. Reach out to us. In Danger, you've been to a game. Out of any of us, you can tell us your experience, and that is here.
And it was awesome. Like, it really so very much had the feel of an NHL game, in that the fans were into it. And like we talked about beforehand, yes, it was a different group of fan base even. Like, there were a lot more little girls there that you don't see at every home game. Now, some of that is you don't see a lot of kids because they're later at night, and this was an afternoon game.
Yeah.
But there was just so much a cool, different experience and group of fans. Now, there were some annoying parts about that, and we talked about that off air. But, and even like, as much as people that had never been to the Xcel Energy Center before, so they didn't know where anything was, so like just getting through the arena was so much more difficult. But again, that stuff is all something that'll come with time, and I think like there will eventually be season ticket packages or game packages for every home game. And if it's not already, it needs to be that way. So like I could go to every women's home game. It might be once a month, whatever it is, but that would be something I'd be interested in doing. Yeah. And so like, but yeah, it was an awesome experience. And to even see it through my 15-year-old son, who doesn't always like have, and not to say he doesn't respect women. That's not like, that's how it's
but he's a boy and he's going to say dumb, dumb shit.
But the respect, and he looked at me one point and was like, Mom, they're like badass. And I was like, women fucking rock, dude. Like, get it through your head now. And so it's something that gives even young men an opportunity to understand that women aren't necessarily these delicate beings that sometimes people want us to believe. Some women are, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You want to be a lady, like a girl's girl, there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't necessarily need to think that every woman is that, like that.
Oh yeah. And like for
if
someone
you say
like
it to
me,
the wrong one, somebody will kick your ass.
And like for someone like me who obviously has played lacrosse and grown up well around women's lacrosse, even doing martial arts with women, it's like these women have earned every bit of the notoriety as the men, because they've had to do it in such a less like publicized capacity.
Correct.
So
they've had to work just a little bit harder to get where they're at,
and
because of the way it's been.
And obviously, again, I know how easy this is for me as the only man on the cast, but like, I'm not a douche. I understand, and I'm like, I love that we all have the same goal here in mind for ourselves, and we were able to have a great conversation. But with all of our goals wanting to just be for them to hit that main success part.
To be as big, if not bigger, than WNBA.
Absolutely.
So I'm very much so on board with this question of the week. This was a combined effort between all of us here. Normally, one or the other kind of comes up with a good question, and
Yeah.
we wanted to keep, because this is the first time we're announcing we're gonna have the PWHL as a mainstay each week on the podcast.
Every week.
That I think we all kind of agreed that it was appropriate to make them the question of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys do want to submit a question of the week, like we say every week, hit us in the comments. Hit us up on social media. Our accounts are going to be real active very soon. We're also going to be having our own separate pucked up stuff. So you can hit us up with that.
I did make us a Gmail email account too.
Oh, perfect.
The other day.
Perfect.
And it's just puckeduppodcast@gmail.com. So you can then email questions of the week. If there isn't, like, if you're not on any of our other socials, you can do that, and I'll get you guys the password for it and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it's Chris Sucks or something like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Great. Now I got to change it again.
Yeah.
No, that's not actually what it is.
But yeah, hit us up with an email too if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, we love hearing from you guys.
Or, BetterHelp, hit us up with an email.
BetterHelp, hit us up with a sponsorship.
We are down for that sponsorship.
Switching gears, D.
Yes.
Would you like to read the stars of the week?
I would love to. All right. So we, as always, start with our third star this week. And by the way, this was for the week ending January 7th. So the 1st through the 7th.
Yes.
Our third star is Connor Hellebuck, goalie for the Winnipeg Jets. He started and won 3 of the Jets' 4 consecutive victories last week. So he just missed out on 1 game. Extending his personal point streak to 12. And that record for those 12 is 10-0-2 because he had 2 overtime losses, which very thankfully still count for a point. Helping Winnipeg to climb to first place in the NHL overall standings. Hellebuck began the week stopping 32 shots in a 5-2 home win over Tampa Bay. He then had he was nominated to participate in the NHL All-Star game for the 4th time. He made 27. Wow. Wildly different numbers. If he had made 72 saves, he would need to be immortalized in gold.
Yes.
No, he made 27 saves in a 2-1 win over San Jose on the 4th, which is around the time that he got notified that he would be in the All-Star game. And he made 15 saves in a 6-2 win against Arizona on January 7th. Hellebuck upped his season record to 26-3 in 29 appearances, tied for second place in wins, ranking 4th in goals against average with 2.27, and 6th in save percentage with 0.921. The Jets have won 6 consecutive games, 1 short of tying their franchise record, and have set a franchise mark with an active 12-game point streak. The club has allowed 3 goals or fewer in 29 straight games. Only 5 teams in NHL history have posted a run of that length, with the 2014-15 Wild being the only other club to have done so in the past 70 years.
Wow.
Holy shit, really?
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a fun fact
for
the Wild fan.
Yeah, should fucking know that. But to be fair, what you said, 2015, that was
2014 to 15.
Yeah, Matt was still pretty little, so that wasn't when I was able to pay the most
you were having
attention to
sleepless
hockey.
nights for other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he was that time was 6, but we were dealing with a lot of his other health issues.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, and that was a good team that year.
Yeah.
From what I remember, even though Douche McDoucherson played for us.
For our second star, we have Martin Jones, another goalie. This week is really goalie heavy for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jones had a 3-0 record with a .66 goals against average and a 0.976 save percentage and 1 shutout, helping the Maple Leafs sweep a 3-game trip to California. He stopped 81 of 83 shots he faced during that week, beginning with a 31 save shutout and a 3-0 win against the LA Kings on January 2nd. He recorded his 30th career shutout and 2nd win with Toronto in just 7 starts for the club. Only 7 goaltenders in Maple Leafs history have previously recorded 2 shutouts in their first 7 starts. The most recent being Jean-Sébastien Giguère. Yeah. That makes more sense. Jones went on to make 27 saves in a 2-1 overtime victory against the Anaheim Ducks on the January 3rd, and 23 stops in a 4-1 win over San Jose on January 6th. The 11-year NHL vet. I almost called him an 11-year-old, which would be so fucking funny if an 11-year-old was making 37 stops. Yeah. The 11-year veteran Improved his
Jesus.
season record to 7-3-0 with a 2.08 goals against average and a .932 save percentage in 11 appearances. His 232 career wins are tied for 8th place among active goaltenders, with Cam Talbot, and his 30 career shutouts are tied for 7th on the active list with Talbot and Darcy Kemper.
God damn, 30-year shutout.
Yeah, 30-year shutout. 30 career shutouts is what I was trying to
I
say.
was like, holy fuck.
An 11-year-old
I
with 30
mean-
years of shutouts is crazy.
That fucking
The
kid's
math on that
ridiculous.
alone.
Hey,
I'm not sure that works like that.
someday
Yes, it
somebody will
does.
do it, you know.
Right. Oh man, I should learn how to read before next show. Honestly,
Hey, you know what? I haven't yet, so why should you? Like,
I know. It's
Fair.
kind of our shtick.
fair.
it really is.
of our
Nobody at
shtick.
LTN knows how to read.
No. Our first star is actually a name that we don't talk a lot about, either on this podcast or I think in general, and that is Sam Reinhart, who is a center
talk
for
a
the
lot
Florida
about him.
Panthers. You've
Oh,
never
fair.
said his name on this
I
podcast.
love Sam Reinhart. I talk about him all the time. He's been great
No,
since he
you
went to
really.
Florida.
I
You
don't
haven't
think
talked
you've
about him at all,
ever
dude.
talked about him. No,
On the
I
podcast,
think you're
no.
full of
gonna have
Maybe
to
in
go
your
back.
personal life.
I'm gonna have to go back because I
know
know
what?
I've talked about Sam Reinhart.
We'll make
I
that
mean,
a
you may
homework
have like
assignment
once,
for the fans.
but like not all the time. I mean, saying all the time is
We talk
a
about
bit extreme.
McDavid every 45 seconds. We talk
Well, it's
about
because
Reinhart
Connor
like once in a blue
McDavid's the
moon.
best player in the world.
Apparently not this week. Reinhart led the NHL in goals last week. Recording. That was so savage.
That
I'm
was
so sorry.
perfect. Mwah.
That was
Oh
so
my
meaner
God.
than I meant it to be.
I don't even care.
Anyway,
I mean, it was granted to Chris, so why would I care as much?
that's
But
so funny.
I know, right? Listen, I am the LTN punching bag. If you guys haven't known,
no,
it's the bald. I'm the bald guy that just gets beat up on.
you're the processing.
We all take our
leprechaun
turns
after
getting
all.
beat up on, to be clear.
That is fair. That is fair.
All right. So Reinhart led the NHL in goals last week, recording 5 goals and 1 assist with a pair of game winners in the 3 road starts to help the Panthers extend their winning streak to 7 games and close within 2 points of the Atlantic Division leading Bruins. Reinhart tallied goals in all 3 games, beginning with a third period game winner in a 4-1 victory over Arizona on January 2nd, shortly after being named an NHL All-Star for the first time ever. So again, clearly not talked about enough. He notched a goal and an assist in a 4-1 win at Vegas on January 4th. He concluded the week with a 7th career hat trick and an 8-4 win at Colorado. The third goal of his 3-goal effort was his 7th game winner and 13th power play tally of this season alone, which both led the league. Reinhart improved his season totals to a team-leading 28 goals and 22 assists for a total of 50 points in 39 games played. He tied for second place in the NHL goal-scoring race and is on pace to shatter his career high for goals this season. Currently 33 in 2021-2022. So he is within 5 of that record, and we still have a whole half of a fucking season to go.
Yeah, he's on fire.
Yeah, with his father, Paul Reinhart, having played a pair of NHL All-Star games in 1985 and 1989, the pair will become the 9th father-son duo to both feature, following the Kachucks, the Stastnys, the Parisis, the Hulls, the House, the Fellini, Fogolins.
Fellinis, eh?
I have Foligno on my brain because he broke his fingy.
He did
The
break his
Deneen's
fingy.
and the
Fingy.
Apps.
So
So those are our
and-
stars of the week.
real quick on
And our
Sam
Foligno.
Reinhart, his lowest total for points in a season in his entire career is 40. He has never had less than 40 points.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome for
I'm a
him.
big-
You still
yeah.
don't talk about him that often.
I'm a big Sam Reinhart
We
guy.
should start
I don't
talking
think
about
he
him more.
gets. Yeah, I don't think Sam
We
Reinhart
do.
gets enough love on that team. The dude was
Yeah.
one of the biggest fucking studs for the Buffalo Sabres until
No,
they traded him
he-
in 21.
He gets
Um,
overshadowed by all the fucking Kachuk drama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
Because
fair.
Matthew can't keep his fucking temper in check.
yeah, exactly.
And then Nick
So,
Cousins.
A shout out to Sam for being the first star this week. And shout out really to having a goalie duo as
Dude, I
2
know.
and 3.
Right?
It's
And
dope.
Martin Jones
fucking
out
rock,
of
yeah,
all goalies.
Mhm. But again, an 11-year-old with 30 years of
That's
shutouts,
fucking
so
bananas, bro.
it was about time he got recognized.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, he did desperately need that recognition.
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
sleeping on my boy. Literally,
Right.
my boy. Oh my god. Danger.
Yes.
Do we have
We got
some
a
injury
bad
boys
boy
and bad boys?
We got a bad boy in
do
the
have bad
group.
boys.
Even though I disagree with. Well, no, that's not fair. I don't disagree with him being a bad boy. He
I
does
disagree with him being
definitely
the only
deserve
bad
it.
boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in just a second. Let me pull up my stuff here.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm frustrated. What else?
Yeah,
is
it's
new?
kind of.
But
Yeah.
Mad about it.
So our bad boy is the one and only Jason Zucker. Surprisingly enough, he's not typically somebody that we see get a lot of suspensions. I think he had one last season too, but
Yeah.
He still isn't generally a bad guy. But he got a 3-game suspension for boarding Nick Cousins. Now, I just want to point out, our last suspension prior to Jason Zucker was Eric Gabranson for serving as an aggressor in an altercation with Nick Cousins. And Gary Bettman, I just want to say to you, sir, if you're seeing people get suspended repeatedly for altercations with one player, maybe you need to fucking look at that guy and see what he's doing. Not that, he necessarily deserves it. What the retaliation, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But, you have to look at that and go, okay, obviously, something happened.
Yeah.
Right? One would think. One would hope.
Yeah.
And also, Zucker didn't get suspended last year, just to close that.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was the year before. I don't remember.
I think it was the year before.
Maybe he got fined last year, was it?
He did not get fined or suspended last year.
Okay. Then I'm making shit up again. It happened.
I think it was longer ago than that, but still, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like he did because he's not somebody we see typically. So, I think that's why it's sticking out in my brain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so 3 games. He forfeits $82,182.50 of his salary in those 3 games.
That was
ew.
No kidding. For some reason I closed my list and forgot to open the injuries. Okay. 4 injuries. For Anaheim, we have Pavel
Michikov, yeah.
There's no C in there.
Mityakov.
That one I will let. It's still MI anyway. He is out with an undisclosed injury and listed as day-to-day. Trevor Zegras is also out. Lower body injury listed as day-to-day. Max Jones out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least January 13th. For Arizona, we have Vladislav Koliakonik. Lower body injury expected to be out until at least January 11th, which I think is an update from last week.
Actually, Zucker has no prior suspension. Sorry, I just found that.
Oh, okay.
So I do think that is excessive for no prior suspensions.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyway.
Okay.
But Vladislav is the only updated or new one that I see on here. For Boston, we have Matthew Pataris out with a shoulder injury, listed as day-to-day. Brandon Carlo out with upper body injury, expected to be out until at least the 11th. Linus Ullmark out with a lower body injury, is day-to-day. Derek Forbort, undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least the 11th, which I think that was updated on the 4th.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about, there wasn't, I don't think, the update. It says it was updated for Miljan Lukic on the 2nd, but...
Dude, Lucic ain't playing, bro. He ain't playing for a while.
Yeah, no, he...
Still got that case.
Yeah, it's more than just the ankle injury. We'll just say that much.
And this ain't the first time he's caught a case in fucking Boston, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are we surprised that it's a Boston player, though?
No, I'm not surprised that it's Milan Lucic.
Yeah.
That, too. For Buffalo, we have Victor Olofsson out with an illness, expected to be out until at least the 11th, and Kyle
Okposo. Yep, Okposo.
Is out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least the 11th. For Calgary, we have Dennis Gilbert with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least the 11th.
That might be the whitest name ever.
Yeah, right?
Gilbert.
For Carolina, we have Martin Necas out with an upper body injury is listed as day-to-day, as is Jesper Fast, who is also out with an upper body injury. And moving to Chicago, we have Seth Jones out with a shoulder injury, expected to be out until the 11th. Anthony Beauvillier, we'll say, out with a wrist injury, expected to be out until the 11th. Tyler Johnson out to till about the 11th with a foot injury. Connor Bedard with that jaw injury we talked about. This says he's expected out until at least January 16th.
So yeah, I assume he'll probably wear a
bubble.
Oh
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nick Foligno out with that finger injury, that broken fingy. This says until at least January 16th as well. As an update on Andreas, and I can't say his last name.
Athanasiou.
Thank you. Out with that groin injury until at least the 16th. For Colorado, how did I say it like that? For Colorado, we have Josh Manson. I almost cried because I hiccuped in the middle of it. Out with an undisclosed injury, listed as day-to-day. Miles Wood out with an illness listed as day-to-day. God, his wood got syphilis. Bowen Byram is on IR, expected to be out until at least January 13th with a lower body injury.
Oof.
I don't think, there's no other updates on anybody there. For Columbus, we have Nick Blankenberg out with an upper body injury, listed as IR, expected to be out until at least January 19th. And Sean Curley, yep, the A is before the L. Yep, that's fair. Out with an abdominal injury, listed on IR, expected to be out until at least January 15th. For Dallas, Jake Ottinger is out with that lower body injury, is listed as day-to-day. And Miro
Haskinen. Yeah.
That sounds familiar. That's not how I would have spelled it, though. Anyway, I was at a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least February 6th. For Detroit, we have Clem Colston out with that upper body injury, listed as IR, expected to be out until at least the 11th, as is Ville Husso.
No, you're right. That's good. That's perfect.
With a lower body injury, expected to be out until the 11th. For Florida, our dear friend Nick Cousins is out with a concussion on IR, expected to be out until at least January 11th.
Yep.
Pretty sure Alanis Morissette wrote a song about this.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Somebody that takes headshots on so many other players in the NHL gets a concussion himself. For LA, we have Phoenix Copley out with a knee injury, expected to be out until the rest of the season.
Yeah,
September 15th is the
big fucking. That's a big hit for
that's a
LA.
big loss.
Love Copley.
Losing. I think he's their starting goalie too, typically, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Former Cap.
Yeah.
For the record.
For my boys
got a lot.
I almost said my boys in blue. We don't wear blue. My boys in green. For the Minnesota Wild, we have Jonas Brodin, still has an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least January 10th, though. He did look very good when he was at the women's game on Saturday. Well, Gus had his baby there, too. It was just nugget, and he was playing with the baby a whole lot.
It's just a little guy.
Vinny Lettieri is out with a lower body injury, listed on IR. So is Brodin, still on IR, too. Expected to be out until at least January 10th. Jared Spurgeon, who just can't catch a break, out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least January 10th. Kirill Kaprizov with that upper body injury, those broken ribs, expected to be out until at least January 15th. And Philip Gustafsson with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least January 15th. All of our players are listed as IR because we had to bring up half of Iowa. It was funny because it was like
that.
We got to see the Iowa Wild play for the first time. It is. I do just want to note too. Jesper Wallstedt was he had gotten hurt, I believe, he is back. He is backing up Marc-Andre Fleury. We did have Zane McIntyre up until recently, but now Jesper is here. And he will be starting tomorrow night against the Dallas Stars.
Oh, wow, nice.
So he will get his first ever NHL game, which is...
yeah.
For Montreal, we have Christian Dvorak with a pec injury expected to be out the rest of the season till September 16th. What?
I said, my boobies. Because he has a pec issue.
Got it.
Yeah.
For Nashville, we have Tyson Barrie. Barrie. Ferrari. I don't know. Anyway. With an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least January 12th. For New Jersey, we have Jonas
Siegenthaler.
Thank you, because that was not going to
it's a fucking
come out of my mouth right.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
He's out with a foot.
It's a full mouth.
He's a little cutie. I'll be honest with you.
Is he?
Yeah. Former Cap.
His picture. Is he?
Yeah. I think he's cute.
He does not look like a very happy boy in his picture.
Oh no, it's brutal.
At least not on CBS. I don't know if that's on any other site, but he does not look like a happy boy. But I feel like he's one of those players that, like, you can tell probably has a great smile. You know? Kind of like Matt Dumba. Great smile.
Mm-hmm.
But when he looks pissed, he looks pissed. So he has a foot injury. I'm assuming a broken foot because he is on IR, expected to be out until at least February 6th.
Oof. That's a big loss for them.
Yeah.
As a defenseman, he was giving them a lot of work.
Yeah. Jack Hughes is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least January 17th. Andre
Palat, yep.
Out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least January 15th. Thomas Nosek, out with a foot injury, expected to be out until at least January 20th. Timo Meier, out with an abdominal injury, expected to be out until at least January 11th, and he is listed as being on IR, as is Thomas. And then Dougie Hamilton, out with that pec injury, expected to be out until at least March 21st. So something tells me he tore his pec.
Dougie's been struggling the past couple years with injury.
Yeah.
That's, I think, part of the reason he's no longer with Carolina.
Yeah.
And he's a great defenseman, and having him out as well with Siegenthaler doesn't help that defense at all.
Yeah. For New York Islanders, we have, I want to say Seaman. I know it's not Seaman, but I want to say
Semyon.
Semyon. Yeah.
No.
He is out with a lower body injury, listed on IR, expected to be out until at least January 15th. I'm sorry, I have a bad brain.
It just makes me think Semyon with the semen body injury. Sorry,
he broke
my
his
brain
semen.
went there.
The syphilis got to his semen.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's
and
a
Semyon's hurting now.
Holy fuck. That's staying, by the way. I'm not removing those. That's staying.
I'm sorry, Semyon.
I'm also sorry.
It is also almost midnight, so
homie, it's like 1 a.m.
Not
here.
that sorry.
Yeah.
For Casey
Cizikas,
thank you.
Cizikas.
Out with a lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. Brian Pulak, out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least the 15th. And Robert Bortuzzo, out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least the 11th, and he is on IR.
It should be
the New York Rangers.
It should be Bortuzzo.
It should be Bortuzzo. I'm just gonna start calling.
That's a better name.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling.
Did I say Bortuzzo?
You said Bortuzzo. It should be Bortuzzo.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say, I saw the name and like my brain went to Bertuzzi, and I was like, that's not
right.
That's not it. Like, brain, you're fucking up yet again. For New York Rangers, we have Jacob Trouba with personal issues or whatever, listed as day-to-day. Tyler Picklick is out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least January 16th. Philip Cheadle. I remember.
Cheadle.
It took me a second, but I remembered. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 7th. And then Capo Caco, still one of my favorite names.
So it's a great name.
So good.
Out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least the 11th. So hopefully we'll see him back soon. For Ottawa, we have Rourke Cartier.
Yeah, I would say that's probably it.
That's how it looks to me. Out with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 11th. And Artem Zub, out with an illness, expected to be out until at least the 11th, but he is not on IR. For Philly, we have Noah Cates, out with that foot injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 12th. And that's it. For Pittsburgh, we have Matt Nieto, right? Nieto. Out with a knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least February 22nd. John Ludwig, out with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 27th. For San Jose, we have Giovanni Smith, out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 11th. Actually, all but one of these guys are on IR, expected to be out until the 11th. So, Jacob McDonald, out with a lower body injury. Nico Sturm, out with an abdominal injury. And Logan Couture, out with a lower body injury. Lastly, for San Jose, we have Matt Benning, out with a hip injury for the rest of the season.
Oh, that's rough.
Expected to be out until at least September 15th.
Yeah.
That one hurts. For Seattle, we just have Philip Grubauer, out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least the 18th of January and is listed as IR. For St. Louis, we have Anton Malmstrom, out with an undisclosed injury, whatever, on IR, expected to be out until at least January 18th. Josh Jacobs, same thing, undisclosed, on IR, expected to be out until the 18th. And Justin Falk.
That's John Jacobs. Never mind. I was like, Josh Jacobs Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. But it's John Jacob.
Sorry, it was still good.
Anyway.
Sorry, I had to get it on the phone. Justin Falk is out with a lower body injury on our IR. For Tampa Bay, we have Tanner Jeannot, or Jeannot. With a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least January 18th. Mikhail Sergachev, Chev.
Right. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 13th. And then we have Hayden Fleury, out with that hand injury. But that was updated on the 3rd. So he's listed now as on IR, expected to be out until at least January 25th. For Toronto, we have Noah Gregor, out with an illness, expected to be out until at least January 11th. Joseph Wool, out with that ankle injury, expected to be out until at least January 18th. Ryan Reeves did get updated to be, he is still listed as IR, but expected to be out until at least January 11th. So that is updated. Ooh, and yeah, I didn't realize for Klingberg it's going to be out till April. That sucks.
Yeah.
For Vancouver, we have Philip Di Giuseppe. We'll go. Listed as undisclosed on IR, expected to be out until at least January 27th. And then I know we talked about him last week, but my favorite, because I'm just going to continue to say it, Guillaume, Breeze Boy.
Breeze Boy.
Expected to be out until at least January 27th. I just
Guillaume
wanted the chance to say,
please come on the podcast.
we just wanted the excuse.
We do actually like you.
We do. We all very much
really
like you.
like you.
My brain's just broken, and now I find it funny that I still can't remember.
It's so funny.
Yeah. For Las Vegas, who is fucking falling apart.
Yeah.
Literally.
Holy shit. Stanley Cup champions.
But there's maybe some good news here. Anyway, Logan Thompson is out with an illness, expected to be out until at least January 11th. Zach Whitecloud, out with an upper body injury, is listed as day-to-day. William Karlsson, out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 13th. William Carrier, whatever, out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least January 13th. Ben Hutton, out with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 10th, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Caden Korzak, out with a lower body injury, is expected to be out until at least January 10th. Aiden Hill, undisclosed, on IR, expected to be out until at least January 10th. Shay Theodore, out with that upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 18th. And the good news, Robin Leonard, as of the 1st, expected to be out until at least February 6th. So we might see him sooner than we once thought.
Yeah, that's an update. That's a move up.
That's a huge update.
That's a big update.
That I missed last week because this says it was updated January 1st, but I'm using
Might have been
CBS
late.
this week.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't use CBS last week. So.
Yeah.
For the Washington Capitals, we have Tom Wilson, unfortunately out with an upper body injury, but thankfully listed as day-to-day.
Oh, his face got fucked up. That's what that upper body
did
is. He got a high stick to the face,
Oh.
and he was bleeding everywhere.
Oof.
Like, even post-game in the locker room, still blood everywhere. He had a whole box of Kleenex in his fucking nose.
Jesus
His
Christ.
face was fucked up. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's
not his
broken
beautiful,
nose.
beautiful face.
I know.
Then we have Rasmus Sandin out with an upper body injury. He is also listed as day-to-day. TJ Oshie was updated today as that upper body injury on IR, but could be is listed as expected to be out until at least January 11th. So hopefully we'll
According
be back.
to his wife, he'll be back. His wife hosted an
Love that.
Instagram Q&A, and she was like, "Oh, she'll be back on Thursday. He'll be playing. I promise you. She'll be playing on Thursday." So I think
she's like,
CBS,
"Get him the fuck out of my house."
Yeah, I think CBS is like, "All right, I'll take Lauren's word over for sure."
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. And then Sonny Milano out with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least the 11th.
Which
so
also I will just say quickly, I hope we see Sonny too, because tomorrow is the game where they're giving away the Sonny Milano Chia head. So if he's not playing in the game where they give away his Chia head, that's really sad.
He has some of the best hair in the NHL.
He does.
I love Sonny Milano. I'm so sad he only played in Anaheim for 1 year.
Yeah, he's great. We love him.
And lastly, for Winnipeg, we have David Gustafson out with a lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 22nd. Mark Sheffield out with an ear injury.
Shifley,
whatever. Out with an ear injury, he's listed as day-to-day.
Because he plays for the Winnipeg, he's not important, even though he's like one of the best.
I hate Winnipeg. I'm from Minnesota. I hate Winnipeg.
Everyone hates Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
That is great though to lose Shifley. That happened today.
Yeah.
Did it?
No shit.
Also, we just got Charlie Lindgren back too. He was out since December 28th.
Yeah.
He just came off the list.
Nice.
He just left the list.
You just made the list.
I'm gonna say only wrestling fans are gonna get that joke. So yeah, that was, as always, we love Danger doing names.
Danger
was better.
does names.
And
I'm getting better at it, man.
You are doing so much better than our first episode.
Oh God, yeah. Well, half the names I had never seen before.
Yeah. Also, this is always a good time for D and I to make awful puns with hockey
jokes.
names. Yes, inappropriate jokes because we were children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that then fuck up me when I remember to read them.
Yeah, like you guys should
Like
see the parts of the recording I have to cut when the three of us are just giggling like children.
Yeah,
because it's funny.
Hopefully someday we will have like a little highlight reel of all of these nasty things for you. You can watch it. But it is kind of X-rated. I will just warn you.
It'll be on our Only Pucks, y'all.
Yeah, it'll be our Only Pucks.
Only
Pucks. We're gonna create a whole ass website for it.
Yeah.
So to round out our entire show today, we have the obscure NHL Player of the Week. This week is a gentleman with a great name. His name is
100%.
It's Bjorn Nord.
Bjorn Nord.
He is a Swedish player.
No,
yeah,
never.
Believe it or not, he's from
I thought he was from Mexico, honestly, but
does anyone see his tan? He looks good. Does anyone want to take a guess at what's
special
about this man?
Considering the trend
Let's say continuing the trend of this season's players of the week.
He played
never
for
played
4
in the
minutes and 32
NHL.
seconds in the NHL, and that was
Yeah.
it.
And then had a million penalty minutes in the minors.
No, this one actually took a shit on the ice, I would say.
This one literally
Actively
shit on the ice. He actually pooped. Just in the center ice, just pooped.
I'm so sorry, Bjorn. You don't know anything about you. Please don't hate me.
He was drafted
that was pretty...
into the. He was drafted 289th overall in the 2000 draft by the Washington Capitals.
Oh.
And he never played a fucking game in the NHL. Never played a single game in the NHL.
Shut up, Bjorn. Love you, dude.
Bjorn.
Former Cap.
Love you, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, babe.
Fucking Caps legend right there. Caps
Honestly,
legend.
I'm gonna start posting in like various places about like Capital legend Bjorn Nord. And just
see what
get any
you should put that like on their TikTok. Be like, hey, shout out to Bjorn Nord.
Can
man,
we get a fucking love for Caps legend?
I'm gonna create a whole ass Twitter that's just Caps legend Bjorn Nord.
Bjorn Nord.
The name.
So he did play professionally. He played in the Swedish Hockey League.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm looking at his numbers now. Okay, 464 career games in the SEL. By the way, his career itself ended in 2003, 2004, and then he had this huge gap where he played one game in 2021, 2022 in a Swedish league.
Okay, all right, Jaromir.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, tone it down, Gordie Howe.
Fucking Yager.
All right, 464 career games. He had 91 goals, 122 assists, and are you ready for this? 561 penalty minutes.
I'm telling you, Capitals legend Bjorn Nord.
He is a legend, man.
In 71 postseason games in the SEL, 71 career, obviously, games played, 11 goals, 22 assists, 103 penalty minutes.
That is
I love it.
Insanity.
Bro, in his junior career, played in 3 tournaments with the Swedish national team, 16 career games played, 3 goals, 5 assists, 10 penalty minutes.
Oh my god, I love him.
My dude was a fucking menace.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I have no knowledge on him or anything other than the fact that he is now 51 years old, and I imagine he plays. Because not everyone is fucking Jaromir Jagr.
He's trying to be, though.
Everyone wants to be
coming
Jagr.
back in 2021.
He's a fucking stud. All right. Well, I think that just about does it, considering we are rapidly approaching 3.5 hours of a recording.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a fun time editing this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as always. We really appreciate every single one of you that tunes in each week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we here are just trying to do our part as hockey fans and help grow the culture with obviously not only the NHL, the PWHL now, and just in general the sport of hockey, even youth hockey. I know as someone who did benefit from youth hockey, that's super important to us. So if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, hit us up on our social medias, hit us up in the comments. All of our links will be in the description. Email us. That'll also be linked in the description. We love hearing from you guys. If you guys have made it this far, in the comments,
tell us your favorite color.
Yeah. Hey, this is for you right here. That's for you, D. I knew it's what you wanted for Christmas. It's a little late, but there you go.
You know what? Yeah.
Tell us a Winter Classic matchup that you want to see. What's your dream Winter Classic matchup?
It's a great question.
That is a really good question.
Yeah. Anything else, ladies, that we have to you guys have parting? Anything?
Protect Semyon at all costs.
Protect Semyon.
Yeah.
You mean Seaman Siemens?
Seaman.
Seaman Siemens?
Oh,
He broke his
God.
semen?
He broke
I
something.
Yeah.
broke his dick with a semen
Oh my
that had
God. Yeah.
herpes? Or no, herpes, not herpes. Syphilis.
Fucking herpes. This bitch just yells herpes.
Oh my God.
Holy
Sorry,
shit.
I already
are so
loaded
sorry,
into the
Semyon.
Minecraft world and like stepped outside and immediately got attacked by like this dinosaur looking motherfucker.
Oh my God. I just want to say from all of us, peace, love, puss suitor.
That's right, puss suitor.
Call
Yeah.
back puss suitor. Shout out
I
pious
forgot
suitor. We
about
love
puss
you.
suitor. Yeah.
Also, please come on the show.
That was
Please come
another
on the
that was
show.
another instance of Simeon where I was like, I know this isn't right, but this is what my brain wants me to say right now, and I can't
Oh my
control it,
God.
apparently.
Anywho, on that note, thank you guys so much, and we will see you motherfuckers in the face-off circle next week.
Bye.